Live from the Spectrum in Philadelphia, it's the Philadelphia Flyers versus the Calgary Flames. Brought to you in part by your neighborhood True Value Store. And now here is Channel 6 Sports Director Don Tollefson.
Good afternoon, Don Tollefson, along with Gene Hart and Bobby Taylor at the Spectrum, where the Flyers have a little extra concern today. They're not only coming off that very disappointing loss to the New York Islanders yesterday in Uniondale, but they also lost defenseman Mark Howe. He'll be out in an indefinite period of time. He has some strained cartilage in the clavicle area above his chest, a most painful injury, and his availability for the next couple of weeks very much in doubt. To take up some of the slack, Glenn Cochran has been recalled. He'll make his first appearance in the Flyers defense corps after rehabilitation from his injury problems. When you're hurting a little bit on defense, you don't want to face a team like Calgary, though, Gene Hart. They have those great gunners, among them Kent Nielsen.
You know, Nielsen was an original member of the WHA Winnipeg Jets with Bobby Hall and Ulf Nielsen. When that league folded, came to the Flame franchise, and he does not get all of the outside general public publicity as does Wayne Gretzky, but he may be equally as talented offensively. His only drawback, and that's been a plus for Philadelphia, is his defensive liabilities. He's generally a minus, depending upon how much points he scores in any given season. That means he's on ice for more opponent goals than he is for his own club. However, he's a danger. You can't let him roam. And I would say this, Don, probably no person is more dejected in Philadelphia right now at hearing the name Glenn Cochran in the lineup than Kent Nielsen, who probably said, Yom Ben Yemeni.
He doesn't like to get hit. Bottom line with Kent Nielsen, if you check him early in the game, you might just take him out of the game in terms of being a big factor. But with the defensive problems, Bobby, I guess another thing the Flyers have to concentrate on is trying to pick up the offensive tempo, something Brian Propp's done very well in recent weeks.
Brian Propp has always been a good scorer for Philadelphia ever since he came into the league, but I think his play has really improved, his overall play. He's becoming a leader. When you handle or you hand the responsibility to certain players, they react to it very differently. Now, Brian Propp has reacted to it very positively. He is setting an example out there. He's been working extremely hard. He's giving it that 100% effort every single game, which you don't have all the time in the National Hockey League or in any other sport for that matter. But I think Propp is setting the example for the young players, and that's really important with this team.
And yesterday he had a great play against the New York Islanders where he had fanned on a shot but still got the pass off to set up a goal.
So that's the type of play that he's been doing for the last 6 weeks rather.
To talk a little bit about the revenge factor in this game, the Flyers were on a most successful road trip just a couple of weeks back. They had come off a 5-2 win over the Edmonton Oilers when they went into Calgary and were promptly defeated by the Flames by a final score of 4-3. So today you got to believe with the Flames coming into the Flyers' own building, they are very excited about the prospects of doing a revenge number on the Calgary Flames. The Calgary Flames not only play in the same division as the Edmonton Oilers, but in the same province, the province of Alberta, and they are a team starved to get some of the attention that most normally goes to those Edmonton Oilers, so they should put on an excellent show today, as should the Flyers. We'll be back with the opening face-off live from the Spectrum in South Philadelphia right after this. Channel 6, time out.
On the next Merv Griffin Show, I'm joined by Mary Lou Henner.
I've been stopped by the police a couple times, you know.
No.
Yeah.
For fast walking?
For fast walking.
Well, they just
Nobody
want to see a
expects
pretty
to see
girl.
you walking.
Helen O'Connell.
How do you keep the music playing? How do you make it last?
Comedian Gary Shandling.
Merv Griffin tomorrow at 4 on Channel 6. Fun, excitement, and big cash on Wheel of Fortune.
For $850, what's his phrase?
Can you keep a secret?
Sure.
Housewarming party.
You got one. Sorry. $11,305.
Play along with Wheel of Fortune, weeknights at 7:30 on Channel 6. This portion of Flyers hockey is brought to you in part by Texaco, makers of Texaco Super Unleaded that helps knock out the knocks.
All right, we're back at the Spectrum. Let's go down onto the ice for our national anthem to be followed by the opening face-off.
Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love from all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. from far and wide. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
The officials for the game this afternoon, the referee, Ron Fournier, the linesman, Ryan Bozak, and Bob Hodges. In goal for Calgary, Don Edwards. Edwards has appeared in 21 games thus far for Calgary, 4.18 average, 7 wins, 11 losses, and 1 tie. In goal for Calgary, or pardon me, for Philadelphia, Pelle Lindbergh. 36th game this afternoon. His average is 308, 18, 11, and 5 with 1 shutout. Now the opening lineups and drop of the puck, Gene Hart.
Right, for Philadelphia, we have Prop Kerr in Poland along with McCrimmon, now teamed up in the absence of Markow with Miro Dvorak. And for the Flames, it'll be Carey Wilson with Richie Crom and Colin Patterson. Defensively, Kerry Alaranta and the high-scoring Paul Reinhardt already with 12 goals. The Flames are coming off a 4-0 Schneider at Quebec on Friday night, and that's an unusual situation for the league's second leading scoring team, and maybe a sign of the times as Ryan Bozak gets drilled, the linesman on the game's first play at center ice.
Not playing for Calgary tonight, or this afternoon, Charles Bourgeois, Steve Conroy, Dougie Riceborough, Steve Tambellini, and I lost the bet.
We always bet when we have a rare afternoon game, $1 for the first guy that says tonight.
Bergen, Froese, Hackburn, Hospodar, Howe, and Sinisalo, all on the injured list.
Bob, you thought at the beginning of the year, said, boy, this club's awfully thin, and they keep losing key personnel and keep playing very well. And Ryan Bozak, who is from Swift Current, 12th year in the league at 37, needing a little repair, although it can't be too serious. He's smiling.
I think he might have cut his hand, Gene, when the puck ended up underneath him and the players were trying to poke it free.
Boy, with all that activity and how they are susceptible to getting drilled, that they wear little shin pads and that's it. But more and more now, as we noticed Wayne Bonney last night, a linesman wearing helmets, as they have throughout collegiate and junior hockey in Canada.
The way some of them officiate, they should wear masks.
The views and opinions of Robert Taylor do not express the views. All right, there's an outlet pass as we're underway at center ice. Pressure put on by Håkan Loob, who's out there with Mike Eves and Eddie Beers. The real surprise coming up to this club from the University of Denver 2 years ago, and he's a big, strong checker and a fine scorer. Now they steal at center ice. Håkan Loob, very popular The Sweetie's in. Oh, he's going to get a good shot from there. And he got it right between the circles, and Lindbergh with the key save. They give it away back at the point. McGinnis with a drive, and that hits the skate of Beer standing in front of the Philadelphia net, and Lindsey Carson comes out as he's on with Tocchet, and Ron Sutter gets inside Neil Sheehy. Round behind the net over skates. Tocchet centers. Ron Sutter a shot, and Don Edwards with a dandy save to keep it scoreless. And he was hung up to dry as the Flames left number 14, Ron Sutter, all alone in the slot. So we have early fireworks. It remains 0-0 as Beers comes up at center and takes a two-line offside pass from inside the Calgary zone. Minute 21 gone. No score. First period.
Eddie Beers was a free agent that Calgary signed out of the University of Denver. As Marsh out there now getting more and more ice time because the Flyers have had a lot of injuries on their defense corps. You'll find that even this afternoon. McCrimmon, Marsh, Dvorak, and Erickson will get an awful lot of ice time.
Well, Glenn Cochran makes his seasonal debut coming up from Hershey. And we understand from Scoop Cooper as the Flyers penetrate, Erickson into the right wing corner, centering pass. Scoots around behind the net, picked up and sent to the point, and stolen away. As McDonald outlets, they have a 2-on-1. Nielsen over the line, Paplinski for the net. And he's tied up beautifully by Thomas Erickson as the centering pass is picked off in front and sent away to Prophet center ice. And he has been brilliant of late. He penetrates down that right wing side, tries to sweep in front, but the defenseman picks it off and sends it up on the near side. And trying to come out of the zone, Jamie McCowan. That's the player whose jaw was broken by Mark Messier, the Oiler player, subject maybe with a review this week by the NHL to a severe penalty, most of it likely to be a suspension. Play on behind the net. McCowan comes out to the near side, puts it on McDonald's stick. It's interesting with two players with defensive deficiencies such as Kent Nielsen and Lanny McDonald that they put a normal centerman, Jim Peplinski, number 24, on the left side. They give them some defensive support. Here comes McDonald on the right side, penetrates, nice poke check by Dvorak, and back comes Richie Sutter. Out there with Timmy Young and Derek Smith, the puck behind the Calgary net, up on the ledge, cleared to the point, check, shot by McCrimmon, gets it back, backhands it around behind the net. Rick Sutter a shot, up, it's caught by Edwards at the goal line with his legs in the goal.
Boy, I'll tell you, the Flyers are really upset. They really believe, especially Rick Sutter, that puck was stopped behind the line. But it was a great play by goaltender Don Edwards of Calgary as he really moved across from left to right very, very quickly to make that save. Edwards has had outstanding games here at the Spectrum. In fact, I believe when he was with the Buffalo, Gene, he's had 2 shutouts here, but he's been tested very, very severely in the opening 3 minutes of this first period and has made 2 big saves. It looked like the goal, or the puck was outside the goal line. A good call on the part of the referee, Fournier.
Terry Wilson against Tim Young, won by the Flames behind the net. Reinhardt rolls it up left side for Richie Crom. Out there with Dan Quinn and Colin Patterson. And there goes Kerry Wilson rolling it in deep. Make that Kelly Eloranta instead of Dan Quinn. The puck taken by Flyers in their zone. And here comes McCrimmon, who'll have to take more charge on defense in the absence of Mark Howe. Puck into the Calgary zone. Offensive right corner. Kicks behind the net. They battle for it. Centering play. Drive by to the short side. That from McCrimmon. And a beautiful effort by Timmy Young behind the Calgary net. Gets it back again from Dvorak. Screens it off. Tries to center it. It's taken off there. Now trying to come out as Reinhardt. And he was pestered by the forechecking of 24 Derek Smith of the Flyers. And finally the Flames do punch it out on their own left wing side into center. Rolling back to the Flyer line. Patterson putting pressure on Dvorak. Outlets at center on the left wing. And Derek Smith through off the stick of Richie Sutter. Followed up by McCrimmon. Over the line against Eloranta. In on the left wing corner. Carrot pass to Poulin. Shot in on the net with the screen by Propp. And the save made there. And out come the Flames at center ice. Hokenlube at the Flyer line with Beers. Shot deflected to the near side. Beers tries to put it in front where he had Mike Eaves. The play is broken up. Boom, Zezel falls on Hokenlube, and that allows McCrimmon, who's been lugging a lot of ice time and that puck in the early stages of this game. Puck deep in the zone will have a high stick violation, I'm sure, against Calgary for knocking it down with above the shoulder. Stoppage of play, 3:57 gone at the Spectrum, scoreless first period.
Bob, he's a pro. I can't beat him.
I fixed the race. He's driving on regular unleaded, but you've got Texaco super unleaded.
But
Even against a pro in an identical turbo car, it can boost power, improving acceleration up steep grades almost 12%.
I won!
When you need more octane, Superstar Power gives you more car power.
I won! I won!
Next time you get the Texaco Super Unlimited.
Behind the new Texaco star, there's a new Texaco.
We're back at the Spectrum. Gene Hart along with Bobby Taylor and Don Tollefson at the Spectrum. Sunday afternoon game. The Flyers and the Calgary Flames scoreless in the early stages of the first period. Philadelphia now has out Doug Crossman on defense with the puck and Brad Marsh. They try to clear it out. Teplinski keeps it in. There should have been an offside, but play is allowed to continue, and Brad Marsh in front of his own net. A former Calgary Flame gets it to center ice. The Flames have out Teplinski along with Kent Nielsen and Lanny McDonald. Long drive by McCown from center ice, steered into the far corner by Philadelphia's goaler Lindbergh. McCown in the corner, and it's cleared around to the near side by the Philadelphia defense, but not out. Kept in on the near side. Look out, Nielsen in front. Now tried to deep pass Marsh and took him out of the play. McDonald wants to center. That play broken up, so McDonald pass Zezel is pulled down, and we're going to have a Flyer penalty against Peter Zezel, probably for hooking at 4:40. The first penalty of the game. We have a Calgary power play coming up early first period. There is no score in the game.
From Sheehy Ford Truck Headquarters here in Northeast Philadelphia, this word: we're ready for the snow. Are you? Over 200 trucks on the ground and ready for immediate delivery. And get this, at the time of this taping, 67 of them are 4x4s, like this 4x4 pickup. Big, sturdy Broncos and Bronco 2s. Our truck prices start on a brand new Ranger two-wheel drive at only $65.92. Repeat, $65.92. Sheehy Ford, Northeast Philadelphia. Unless this emblem is on your car or truck, you probably paid too much.
Peter Zezel picks up the first penalty for the Flyers. Hooking as Lenny McDonald was caught in a turn. Pulled the feet out from under him. 4:40 the time of the hooking minor. Calgary on the power play.
You always said you're the most susceptible to falling when you're hooked on the outside while making the turn. All right, the Flames were 0 for 1 in the game in Calgary. That's what kept them away from dominating the game. You cut away their power play, but now they get their first opportunity. They go to Lube behind the net out there with Danny Quinn in the offensive right corner. Quinn has McGinnis, a booming shooter, at the right point, and Reinhardt at the left. They give it to Reinhardt, tips it in the corner to Hokenlube with Carey Wilson in front. Back to the point, Reinhardt, straight away. Now they got a man in front. Lube, open man is Wilson. Shoots over the top of the net, and I think Lindbergh took it away from him by holding off on the deke. Puck behind the Calgary net. Carey Wilson, straight away to the left point to Reinhardt. Challenge back to Wilson in the offensive corner. Loses it. He tried to make a hand play. It rolls up on the near side. McGinnis will keep it in and then loses it. To Murray Craven, number 32, and he ices it. 1 minute remaining on the Calgary power play. 14-18, first period. There is no score. Ron Sutter out with Davey Poulin. And the Flames shoot it up at center. They have a 2-on-1. Nielsen over the line with McDonald. Nielsen there. Shot and beaten by Lindbergh as he tried to go short side with a backhander. That's a big play for Philadelphia. And that's the guy we zeroed in on before the game as the man to watch, and he showed his talent there. And Lindbergh, a fellow Swede, was ingracious by keeping him off the net. We get a stoppage with 6:06 gone, scoreless first period.
Calgary has the #1 power play unit in the National Hockey League, and they've had a number of good chances. Kent Nielsen trying to go to the backhand and just flipped it, but Pelle Lindbergh, having the speed and quickness that he possesses with his hands, got that glove up there, knocked the puck down, and of course the game's still scoreless here in the first period.
Flyer coaches made the contention that they had played the night before against Edmonton, went into Calgary with a rested Flames club and were a step short. Flyers played yesterday. The Flames were off yesterday, and again, the Flyers figured that the Flames are fresh, and so the Flyers once again, are going to have to come up with a little extra. Puck along the near side against the power play. Dvorak out there. They get it to McGinnis at the point. Straight away, nice play against Nielsen, who's playing the point, and the Flyers drill at the center ice, and we're going to have a penalty against the Flames for taking down Brian Propp. Out of the net is Pelle Lindbergh. The Flyers at even strength have the extra player out. Flipping into the Calgary zone. Tim Kerr after it. Cuts off Reinhardt. Tries to go to the point. Finally, Lanny McDonald reaches it. The penalty is called. It's going to be a hook. And I believe it's against the Flames at 6:36. To Kent Nielsen.
No, Al McGinnis, Gene. Brian Propp had taken out McGinnis' feet as he was trying to keep that puck in the zone. Referee Fournier did not see it. But then McGinnis was trying to get even, pulled Propp down, but the referee saw it. So he'll pick up the first penalty for Calgary. It'll come at 6:36. Hooking will be the call. 4 seconds. Peter Zezel's out of the penalty box. Then the Flyers will put in to operation their power play.
Well, I mean, wouldn't if McGinnis went over and said he did it to me first, wouldn't the referee even up the penalties?
Yeah. It was,
I mean, honor system should be a
It was away from the play. McGinnis's feet were taken out from under him by Prop, but the referee did not pick it up.
6:36 the penalty. McGinnis with 55-minute penalty total on the year. Peter Zessel had 12, and so Flyers will be on the power play right now. And against the Flames, as out of the box is a backhander. Score in the corner. And guess who? Mr. Flying Prop, who now has points in 9 straight games and 17 of his last 21. It took 8 seconds on the power play.
Peter Zessel had just come out of the penalty box, but Kerr won the face-off, and it's very difficult to win it when it's close to the blue line, but Miro Dvorak kept it in. Kerr, of course, everybody goes to Tim Kerr when he's in front of that net. He draws a crowd, a big crowd, and that left Brian Prop all alone to pick up the rebound and then flap it up over top of goaltender Edwards. And they're through Elorant, and the Flyers take the lead.
The assist number 12, Tim Kerr. Along with number 9, Miroslav Dvorak.
As the Flyers draw first blood, Dvorak at the point, no shot. Into Prop, tries to go cross ice looking for Bryn McCrimmon, but it's picked off by Patterson. Up through to Crom at center ice. Flames over the line to Carey Wilson, but offside as the pass was dropped back through into center and carried in by the former Canadian Olympian. Number 33, Carey Wilson. Brian Prop, boy, I tell you, talk about somebody being on fire.
24th goal. And I'll tell you, his play, though, Gene, aside from the scoring, his play has just been inspirational. It really has. He's been working extremely hard. He has become a very, very dominant force for this Flyers hockey club, become one of their leaders.
We kept saying when adversity comes to this club, and it did in that streak, that's where the leadership has to display and show itself, and it's really come out in full effect for number 26. Puck in the offensive left corner. Craven puts it off the Prop, rolls it in front, and he had Kerr there, but it deflects off, and Patterson sends it away to Crom. They give and go at center ice, drive it into the offensive left corner, but Lindbergh beats Crom to it, winds it around to the near side, but Carey Wilson keeps it in, behind the net, gets it in turn, puts it in front. Moderate shot taken away by McCrimmon, and outlets to Prop. Prop to the trailer. Murray Craven back through on the left wing to McCrimmon over the line. Tries to go around behind the net. Good check on the play by the Flames callbacks. They battle for it. Flyers take it off. No place to go to the point, so Kerr finally stripped. And outbreak the Flames. Up the middle of the ice comes Jamie McCown wearing that face mask. Tries a shot from inside the blue line and catches both the sticks of Martin McCrimmon up into the end seats. 7:53 gone. First period at the Spectrum. Flyers 1, Calgary no score.
You don't have to get behind on household projects or repairs if you're prepared with quality tools from True Value hardware stores. Like this Fisker's screwball hand drill with 4 self-storing bits or a Master Mechanic 13-piece high-speed drill bit set. You can fix household appliances with a Servest 3-piece pliers set and securely tighten nuts and bolts with a Master Mechanic 21-piece standard socket set from participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
All right, face-off just inside the Flyer line. They've got Steve Bozek on the left side, Hook and Lube on the right, centered by Mike Eves. Flames go into the Flyer zone over the goal line, and we'll have an icing as it was fired from the Calgary side of the center ice red line.
You'll find the Calgary Flames will really try to pop that quick, long pass. They play a very similar style to the Edmonton Oilers, and they'll try and break that guy loose who's very, very high, and you'll find that if a lot of two-line passes or an awful lot of icings if the player fails to pick up that pass. Dougie Crossman didn't play much in that third period against the Islanders, but we'll get a regular shift here this afternoon, at least in the early going of the game.
Was a prolific scorer in his junior days at Ottawa with the 67s. Also in his last year had 41 points with Chicago, but has subjugated that area of his skill to the team concept by the Flyers. Flames win the draw. Lube, a tap pass through to Eves at center, looking for another left corner dump. They want to break it in to the trailing player, Bozak. Flyers read that. A wraparound to the near point is kept in. Shot to the net by the defenseman, Neil Sheehy. Flyers cut it off, send it to Rich Sutter at center. Can't get past the speeding Håkan Lube and loses the puck into the Flame zone. Defense out to Sheehy. Now we got a stoppage of play. And we got Rich Sutter going at it with Richie Crom, or Håkan Lube. And then the linesman gets dumped, Bob Hodges, as Lube fought fast in to get it, Rich Sutter. Now we got a little war going on.
Sheehy came in, Gene, right after Rich Sutter.
Well, that should be third man in.
I'm not so sure. It might be in this situation due to the fact that Sutter, Rich Sutter that is, and Hawk and Lube hadn't really started in an altercation. They were still pushing and shoving at each other and staring down.
All right, while we wait to clarify the penalties from referee Ron Fournier, 11:33 remaining first period from the Spectrum, Flyers leading 1-0.
If your car knocks like a caged animal, feed it the higher octane in Texaco Super Unleaded. On steep grades, it gave already powerful turbo cars even more power. Nearly 12% faster acceleration than regular unleaded did. So if your car needs more octane, give it Texaco Super Unleaded. Superstar power for more car power. Easy, boy.
Behind the new Texaco Star, there's a new Texaco.
Well, Richie Sutter of the Flyers have picked up a double minor for roughing. Hawk and Lube of the Calgary Flames will pick up 2 minutes for roughing. And Neil Sheehy of the Calgary Flames will pick up 2 minutes for roughing.
Well, out of all of it, the Flyers will have a 4 skaters to 3 edge for 2 minutes. Then when the 2 minutes elapse, both Lube and Sheehy will come out, and then the Flames will have a power play on the second half of that double minor called to Rich Sutter.
Flyers' only goal, and the only goal in the game thus far was on the power play. Prop at the 6:44 mark is 24th. We made mention that Calgary was the top scoring team in the National League when they've had the man advantage. But they're also one of the worst penalty-killing teams. They're 20th out of 21 teams.
Well, the Flyers are now 2 for 3.
Mike Keenan really upset with Ron Fournier and the calls being made. I think he really wanted to have that third man in, Gene, that you mentioned.
Might explain to our fringe hockey players, in order to prevent added fights, that when an altercation between two opposing players begins and a third one steps in to give one or the other the advantage, that player is given a game misconduct, and they felt that that would stop the secondary and third and quartet of fights that would follow up, because that second, third, and fourth man was allowed to come in with almost impunity. Rich Sutter on the now picks up penalty minutes 40 up to 45. Håkan Lube, who's normally a non-combatant, now has just 10. And Neil Sheehy was brought up just 9 games ago, has 17. So the Flyers are 4 on 3 edge. They have Thomas Eriksson out there along with Prop, Zezel, and Doug Crossman. Prop penetrates. Now they have to set up in the zone. That's what you want to do against the triangle. Crossman into the left circle. Zezel got Prop breaking and holds as the alley was cut off. Now he wants to come to the near side. Crossman looking cross ice where Thomas Eriksson is set up. Top of the circle of Crossman. The side of the net was blocked off by Paul Reinhardt, who's out there with Eve. And then knocked down in front was Prop by defenseman Jamie McCowan as the Flames drill it down the ice.
Gene, you have to move that puck around quicker than the Flyers are doing right now. If you only have 3 defenders out there, you can catch them really leaning and out of position if you move it quickly.
Flyers penetrate into the left wing corner. McGowan wants to put pressure on Kerr, takes it and ices it. The key now, as there goes Kent Nielsen in deep, is to force them back, get it set up in the zone, and then work 4 against 3, and the Flyers have a minute left on this advantage. 4 against 3 defenders. Crossman in, did the same thing, picked off again and sent down the ice, and that play by McCowan, as the Flyers are not just doing this technically correct, but they have time now to set up in the zone. 47 seconds on the advantage. They dump it into Prop. Now they have it set up in the zone. Man in front was Kerr. They go left side to Dvorak. Side of the net, Kerr. Back to Dvorak at the top of the left circle. Straight away to Prop. Prop looks. Nobody in front of the net. And that's no good. Now Kerr is there. Shot. Hit the post. Back to Eriksson. Left side to Dvorak. Back to Eriksson. One-timer. Score!
Two's the time, and they started to move the puck much quicker. And Eriksson with a nice flat pass from Miro Dvorak, just one time to beat Don Edwards on the short side. From the end zone, you can see there's a lot of room on that short side. Don Edwards not over well enough to cover it, and Eriksson's blast found its way behind him, and the Flyers have taken a 2-0 lead. Again, a power play goal. Eriksson's 7th of the year.
And for Thomas, that's his 4th of a 7 on the advantage. Now that wipes out the penalty to Håkan Lube, so they'll play 4 skaters aside. for 25 seconds, and then when Neil Sheehy's penalty is over, the Flames will have the remaining 2 minutes of the double-minor to Rich Sutter to see if they can't get one back.
Tim Kerr picks up the second assist on that power play goal, so Kerr and Dvorak have assisted on both Philadelphia goals in this first period.
Here come the Flames. Nielsen's going to try to put pressure and turn McCrimmon, but as he lost the puck, dragged it in behind him over the blue line. That's an offside. That's what you call a UN goal. A Canadian Kerr to a Czech Dvorak to a Swede, and boom.
I've never thought of it that way.
Well, you're a Canadian.
2-0 to score here in this first period. Flyers in the lead. 9:45 remains. 12 seconds remain on Neil Sheehy's roughing minor. 2:12 remains on the double minor to Rich Sutter for roughing.
As Bobby said, the Flames are almost near the cellar on the power play defense. Well, Philadelphia has coughed up 3 power play goals and 4 opportunities against the Flames. All right, now, out of the box comes Neil Sheehy, and the Flames on the second half of that double minor to Rich Sutter on their second power play. They are 0 for 2 this year against Philadelphia. They have McGinnis out there along with Kent Nielsen, Lanny McDonald. Flyers take it off and shoot it to center ice. Reinhardt is at the point with McGinnis. And the Flames don't have a, yes, now they do. We're short a man there for a minute. Now as they go into the Flyers' own offside. What were you doing there, Mr. Taylor?
Well, Neil Sheehy had come out of the penalty box, and I was trying to point out to you that the Calgary Flames were on the power play, but that they had failed to put their 5th man out there. And finally they did. 2-0 to score again.
You know, it's funny in our business. When you would do that, you'd look and often note there's too many. But rarely would you look and see too few.
That's right.
Shots are only 5-3 in the game after almost 11 minutes of play. But 2 of those Flyer 5 advantage goals by Propp and Erickson, with Dvorak and Kerr assisting on both. Paul Reinhardt. The puck at the Flyer blue line, and it goes in offside. Philadelphia goes McCrimmon and Dvorak along with Propp and Davey Poulin. And the Flames have Reinhardt at center ice. Now that's interesting, taking the draw with Nielsen, the normal center, at the left point. Reinhardt with McDonald on his left, big strong Eddie Beers on the right. And back at the point, McGinnis now with the puck. And for those of you watching on Channel 6, if you ever on courts, you're going to see one of the great bullet shots in the NHL today. Number 2, McGinnis. But the Flames a little sluggishly mishandle at their own line, and that allows Poulin to stir up some harassment. Flames still circling in their own zone. And we're down to 1:05 on the Flame power play. Nice move past Poulin by Kent Nielsen. Over the line, pivots inside the line, holds, cross-ice pass, back to the point, winding up McGinnis. His shot smothered, and as it rolled to the net, Brad McCrimmon, rather than controlling it and perhaps being outgunned, took a poke at it and knocked it out of the rink, and that's a good defensive play, Philadelphia.
They'll really have to play extra attention to Al McGinnis out there with that shot. We've talked a number of occasions on the play of Brad McCrimmon and the ice time that they log. And it's very important when you take a look at the back-to-back games, especially when you play early in the evening and then come back on an afternoon contest. And you're not so much tired physically as you are mentally.
Flyers get the draw, and McCrimmon slaps it down the ice. That winning of the draw, a key one by Davey Poulin. Main's out still with Brian Propp, who's going in forechecking, and Dvorak and McCrimmon. Now Reinhardt, leading the charge, has to slow down. Works on the right side to Carey Wilson. Flyers have the Flames disrupted, and their attack is not as smooth as the second leading scoring team in the NHL should be. Flames in their zone as the Flyers dump it down. 8 minutes remaining first period. 2-0 Philadelphia. 25 seconds on the penalty to Rich Sutter. Flames flip in, a wraparound behind Lindbergh. Offensive left corner for the Flames. Skips past Lube to the point. Wound by Reinhardt around to the near side. Going after it is Murray Craven. Runs into McGinnis. Takes him off, but the Flames pick it up. Danny Quinn at the point. Harassed, goes in deep. Marsh takes a whack at it, but it hits McGinnis. Then as he tried to go back to the left point to Reinhardt, hit it about knee-high and drove it into center ice. Now the penalty is over. And out of all of that melee involving Rich Sutter, Sheehy, and Håkan Lube, the Flyers draw the second goal. Puck at center ice. Rich Sutter
is taken off by Danny Quinn. Fights and pucks through on the near side, but cannot control. Paul Baxter up at center ice. Here comes Hogan Lube. Pass Rich Sutter over the line. Wants to drop it to Kerry Wilson. He's tied up along the near board. Can't find the handle. Brad Marsh does. It's out of skate and then bumped through in center by Philadelphia's Ron Sutter. Ron and Rich out there along with Murray Craven. As down that left wing side goes McCown. He's taken down. McCrimmon, a nice move away from the aggressive forechecking of Tim Hunter, number 19 of the Flames, and the puck comes to center ice, where Calgary will try again. It appears, Bob, that Calgary's trying to pick up the tempo a notch or two, and the Flyers not letting them. Marsh up the middle, taken there by Rich Sutter, and he'll just flip in. Now they've got Cochran out there along with Zezel, Kerr, Marsh, and Erickson, and it appears that Glenn Cochran is going to play a wing on this line, Bobby, to get him back into play. On his one shift earlier. Now there's the break by Kerr with Zezel. Over the line. Kerr there. In front. Cochran a short side shot. And he almost scored, and Edwards went down and covered the short side. But Cochran had the right idea trying to go up, but didn't go up high enough. What a comeback, huh? First 8 shifts. Now we got Cochran knocked down. Dropped his glove against Paul Baxter. Now they're trying to separate them, and that's a good thing. Baxter will pick up the penalty. We have 6:16 remaining first period in spirited action at the Spectrum. Flyers 2, Calgary nothing.
A day in the life of a Commodore 64. The Commodore 64. Once you get it, you'll wonder how you got along without it.
Well, just before the penalty, Glenn Cochran was set up perfectly by Tim Kerr, and Donnie Edwards made a big save, getting his right pad on it. Then just after that, Baxter upended Cochran on his way out of the zone. He'll pick up a minor for tripping. Cochran went after Baxter, but Bob Hodges got in there very, very quickly, and I'm sure the linesman was saying to him, Cochran, to settle down because that Calgary already had a penalty. And they'll do that. Linesmen will go out there and they'll talk an awful lot to the players to calm them down, to settle them down. And the best way to do that is to tell the other player that the other team has a penalty. Is there a butter handlebar mustache in the world at Lanny McDonald's? That's what Calgary's upset about. They wanted a... The handlebar mustache? Yeah. Can't understand him. Oh, that's just great. That's why he's captain. Bob Johnson, the coach of the Calgary Flames, just a marvelous gentleman, and he's an asset to the National Hockey League in the Calgary. All right, Flyers on their third power play pop. They're 2 for 2. But remember, the Flames are also bad defensively, but they're also dangerous. They have 7 shorthanded goals. Now they get it up. Over the line, there goes Kerr. Drops to Poulin. In the corner. Nice drop pass to Erickson. Back to the left side to Dvorak. Rolls along the boards. Straight away to Erickson. One-timer over the top of the net. And I believe he had Edwards beaten there as he was knocking low, and the shot went over the crossbar. Karam's out of the rink. We'll have a neutral zone face-off. 5:48 remaining first period. 1:32 remaining on the penalty to Calgary's Paul Baxter. He has 80 minutes on the year, and the Flames now with 4 of the game's 7 penalties. Big Tumba Erickson's got that shot in gear tonight, or this afternoon, Gene. Where'd that Tumba come from? There used to be a big Swedish hockey player way back when I was a youngster growing up named Tumba Johansson. He was their biggest star. So I keep calling Thomas Tumba. Buck in the Calgary zone. Defensively, they have Reinhardt, Eves, Colin Patterson, and Jamie McCown. And the Flyers lose it, and the Flames shoot it down. Dvorak and McCrimmon at the point, and up front, Zezel, along with Prop and Timmy Kerr. McCrimmon leading the charge, left side to Prop up the middle. Challenges into the zone. Throw to Kerr, quick wrist shot from the slot, and Edwards goes out with the left glove and eats that one up. You really miss the skating and puck handling ability of Mark Howe, especially on that power play, but nice play to set Timmy Kerr. Again, that quick release, and a lot of times you can really catch a goaltender off balance or moving, even from that range. You get that puck away very, very quickly, and Kerr is one of the best in the league at doing that. Timmy Kerr with 33 goals. Bobby, last year when he scored 54, at this point in the season he had 29, so he's 4 goals ahead of last year's pace. Dvorak along the board, straight away. McCrimmon to the right circle. Prop has to reach, go back to the point. Winds up, drive, and right in front was Kerr, but it was tapped away behind the net by the Flames.
Reinhardt tries to get rid of it, shoots it into the seats from behind his own net, and we'll have another Flyer offensive right circle face-off with 53 seconds remaining on the advantage. Flyers now have 39 power play goals and 173 short. They're about 1 and 4.5, and the percentage is picking up perceptibly.
You can see why Calgary has not been very strong in killing penalties. The Flyers have scored both the goals on the power play, but they collapsed right on top of their goaltender.
McCrimmon had it to Dvorak, skipped through him, he lost the shot. Now looks, he's pinned in at the point, goes in around behind the net. Poulin takes it there, back passes to Kerr. Kerr tried to come out in front, lost it. It was tapped away nicely by the Flames. Colin Patterson and doing a marvelous job of breaking up the play. Flyers with 35 seconds left on the advantage, penetrate again. In front, Poulin wasn't looking. The Flames quickly try to outlet the Bozak at center ice, but it goes all the way down. Bozak reading shorthanded breakaway as the Flyers with 23 seconds left now to McCrimmon. One good thrust left. Flyers into the zone. Knockdown was Ron Sutter. Now round to the near side. Straight away to the point to Murray Craven. Right side. Shot in on a net. Blocked to the near side as two Flyers were scooting across. And it was Ron Sutter back at the right point. Flames ice it, and that should do it as Peplinski chases Ron Sutter behind the net. Takes him off the play. There's a man in front, but Philadelphia covers. And the penalty is over with 4:15 left, and the Flames showing a little more aggressiveness defensively. Outlet through by Craven to Ron Sutter at center ice into the Flame zone, into the left wing corner where he had Carson. Short side shot from the boards, and it was blocked off. Carson digs it out behind, looks to center, goes back to the right point to Thomas Eriksson. No shot, a wraparound behind the Flames net. Carson had it in the near corner, skated off. The Flames poke it up on the near side. Philadelphia takes it. Now trying to come out of that corner is Tocchet. Tries to go in deep, taken away by Liney McDonald to Kent Nielsen. 3:40 remaining first period as the Flames stripped it into the Philadelphia zone. And we're going to have a penalty, I believe, against Ron Sutter for pulling down Liney McDonald. 16:21 gone first period. Flame power play coming up. They trail 2-0.
When your car knocks driving uphill, does everybody pass you?
Everybody's passing.
I'm well aware of that fact, Eunice.
Oh, it's only a comment, Walter.
And I took note of the comment, Eunice.
Try Texaco's higher octane that gave powerful turbos even more power against regular unleaded. Texaco's super unleaded boosted acceleration almost 12%.
Isn't that Werner Lutz? We went to high school together.
By golly, you're right. I thought Werner was dead.
Texaco's super unleaded, superstar power for more car power.
Well, the Calgary Flames will have the opportunity on the power play for the third time as Ron Sutter tried to slow down Lanny McDonald right at the Flyer blue line, pulled him down. He'll pick up a hooking call at 16:21.
There it goes back. Shot by Nielsen high over the short side shoulder and net of the Flyers, and Philadelphia is able to clear it up ice. Propp, Poulin, McCrimmon, and Marsh. Back at the points, McGinnis with the pass now, and Kent Nielsen. And up front, they'll go Reinhardt with Eddie Beers and Lanny McDonald. Puck along the far side, and a nice job by Poulin to actually take it and flip it up, and it rolled on the ledge at center ice. The Flames couldn't find the handle. Now they take it away in the neutral zone. 3:10 remaining in the period. 1:30 on the Flame power play. Penalties in the game even at 4. And the penalty minutes on Ron Sutter at this point, he has 61 in here. They had clearance by McCrimmon up on the far side. Then, as Reinhardt tries to flip it in the corner to McDonald, shoots it over the glass, and he has a look of disgust that's beautiful. But look at that handlebar mustache. Incredible itself.
Lanny McDonald, a former Masterton winner of 1983. He'll also be the first intermission guest of Don Tollefson here at the Spectrum this afternoon. Very, very active in the community in Calgary. Very, very strong in all the charities up there.
I tell you, if you had a small van of players who would be ambassadors for this game, both on and off the ice, Mr. McDonald would be in the front 2 rows.
Exactly.
Murray Craven take the draw against Kerry Wilson, who made his debut last year in Calgary against the Flyers and scored on his first shift. And he's leading right now. He was among the top leaders of rookie scoring. Right, Flames with 1:09 on the power play. Working through Reinhardt, dumps it behind the Philadelphia net. He follows it in behind against McCrimmon, holds on to Brad's shirt, and Brad falls in the puck accidentally on purpose in the corner to the right of his net. We get a stoppage and an offensive left circle faceoff for Calgary.
McCrimmon, I don't know. Every time I keep looking up, Gene, I see number 10 out there for this first 20 minutes, either on the power play or shorthanded. He's done that a couple of times over the weekend now, where if he's fallen down, he's just made sure that puck stays underneath him. What a renaissance. Played, of course, with Laurie Boschman and Ray Allison and Brian Propp and Ray Bork at Brandon Wheat Kings in the Western Juniors. Came here for Pete Peters and is fulfilling all of his hopes and dreams this year with a beautiful season. Flyers take the puck behind their own net and up ice. Brad McCrimmon with Marsh and Propp. Propp breaking for the net. McCrimmon up the middle. Drives it through the goal mouth as he tried to use Propp as a screen for a soft shot. Kent Nielsen back with 40 seconds on the advantage. Tries to go blue line to blue line, and then when he saw Reinhardt picked off, held it, turned back at his own line, and will start up the middle. At the Flyer line, pivots, holds inside. Works right side to McGinnis. It bounces off his stick, loses the shot. Goes to Nielsen. He looks toward the net. Goes back to the point. McGinnis works to the left side. Into the corner. Nielsen trying to draw over Propp. Now they come near side to Reinhardt. Into the slot, broken up. The Flyers have a breakaway. Short-handed. There goes Poulin by himself. Shot. Score! All he did was just stop that shot. Calgary had 4 men caught in very, very deep. And Poulin just threw Donnie Edwards down and then put that puck right up in the penthouse. Nice move on the part of Davey Poulin. Last night he had a breakaway against Kelly Rooney, took the forehand shot, get him on the ice. This time he goes to the backhand, that puts it in the penthouse. His 13th goal shorthanded will be unassisted. Flyers have a 3-0 lead.
Not only is he hot, but his defensive pairing penalty killer, Brian Propp, so is Mr. Poulin burning. He now has points in his last 5 games when they were worrying where he was. He now has 9 points in those 5 games, and he's been breathtaking. In fact, many people said he had an off year and disappointing, and right now he's ahead of the pace that he had last year by 3 points when he scored 76 points as a first-time rookie. Puck in the zone. Flames still on the power play. They try to work it to the net. It's in the slot, and Erickson can't handle it. Now it goes to Wilson. Penalty is over. Into the slot. The Flyers take it away, leading 3-0. Lead the charge up the middle. Boom, taken off his skates is Lindsey Carson, but here comes Erickson. 3-on-2. Over the line. Offside, though, are the other players on his left. With 1:27 remaining in the first period, and a big one for Philadelphia. They've blown out with 2 power play goals and a shorthanded goal to lead 3-0.
Thomas Erickson's really having an excellent afternoon so far. He's been much more aggressive in carrying the puck. As we mentioned last night, he's the only player from the Flyers who played in the Canada Cup last fall, playing for Team Sweden.
Might point out to you hockey fans with Calgary here that the 1985 All-Star game will be played in the Saddle Dome in the first week in February, and I'll tell you, the Flyers are going to have more than one representative on that club, Bobby. Puck at center, taken away by Ron Sutter, jumped into the zone. Flames, who came east with a glittering record, were shut out on Friday night at Quebec 4-0 and have stumbled here in the first period as the Flyers have shown no residual effects of losing that game against the Islanders. Peplinski a long shot out from the left wing. That misfires. Goes to the point. Neil Sheehy in front. Vizak tries a shot. That's smothered in the last minute of play. Flyers try to clear out. There's a scramble along the far boards. Dug out by Tocchet. Clearly flips it around to his own left wing corner for Dvorak. To Derek Smith, pushed down from behind by Sheehy, but still gets it off. And it's sent to center ice by Tocchet. Penetrating again, drop pass to Peplinski up the middle, trying to find Tim Hunter breaking in. Flyers clear that off as Hunter was well taken. Cleared up to the near side, and Smith this time with his back to Sheehy tips it down ice. Half minute remaining in this first period, 3-0 Philadelphia. They go through to Peplinski, around behind the net. Marsh pulls him down, and no penalty there, and that was really one. Now Craven going in behind Cariello Arana, behind the net in front. And it hit Propp in the knee, ricocheted behind the net with 12 seconds remaining in the period. Flyers flip to center.
Oh, here we go.
Now we got a fight.
Brown
and
Peplinski.
That's a good pairing.
2 big fellows. Brown 6'5", Peplinski 6'3".
And it's Brown's first shift on the ice.
Again, he's a left-hander that we keep referring to that, but it really throws a lot of players off. They like to grab for the right hand so they don't get hit by it, and then that leaves that left one wide open, and Brown has been able to get the advantage on a number of fights that he's had this year.
Penalties come with just 5 seconds remaining in this opening period.
But both their helmets went flying over the glass. And we have a fan that is returning the one to Jim Poplinski. And I don't know if anybody's returned the one to... Oh, yes. Brad McCrimmon has Dave Brown. Both players will pick up majors for fighting. Jim Poplinski of the Calgary Flames.
Wait a minute.
And Brown will pick up an additional 2-minute minor.
No, I think Fournier's going over there. I think he got some correction from his linesman. So I'm going to guess, Bobby, I think the minor's going to be taken away from Brown or added to Poplinski.
Dave Brown, 2 minutes for roughing, plus 5 minutes for fighting.
Well, I guess wrong.
55 seconds. Jim Poplinski, Calgary, 5-minute major for fighting. Dave Brown Flyers.
It started right along the boards, high in the zone. Brown took Poplinski out of the play, took him right out very hard, which is a normal play in hockey, but then just after that they turned around and dropped their gloves. As two of the former Flyer greats in attendance, Bobby Clark, Bernie Perron. I have to speak to Perron about getting that Grecian formula.
I think he gave it to Clark. All right, Pep. We have Brown now with 108 minutes on the air, and the Flyers with 6 penalties. And for Jimmy Poplinski on the season, he now has 67 minutes on Calgary's 5th penalty.
No, the Flames, has been pointed out to us, Gene, by Jamie McVicker. They've had 5 minutes and 56 seconds of power play advantage. And the shot totals are 1 for the Flames and 1 for the Flyers. That shorthanded goal by Poulin.
In fact, they've only had 3 shots for the period, and they haven't had many since the last 15 minutes. All right, now we come to the end of the first period. From the Spectrum in Philadelphia, the score, Philadelphia Flyers 3, the Calgary Flames nothing. And now let's go down to Channel 6 Sports Director Don Tollison. And good Sunday afternoon, my friend.
Thank you very much, Gene Hart. An excellent first period, as you mentioned, especially impressive after the Flyers had that tough late loss to the New York Islanders last evening up in Uniondale, New York. Once again, they're leading the Calgary Flames 3-0 after 1 period. During our first intermission, we'll be in live conversation with the captain of the Calgary Flames, Dave Poulin's counterpart, Lanny McDonald. Then we'll look at the Calgary 1988 Winter Olympics. That's right, the Winter Olympics are coming to Canada, and we'll have a preview of the city of Calgary, Alberta's preparations. Then Bobby Taylor, the chief, and I will be back in the Channel 6 hockey studio to analyze that first period. All that coming up during our first intermission with, once again, the Flyers leading the Flames 3-0 after 1.
Promises in the Dark. The emotionally charged story of a terminally ill teenager starring Marcia Mason.
I don't want to be like that guy in Catch-22 with just tubes going in and tubes coming out and then machinery.
But that was a satire. Her greatest fear, she said, was that she would be left this way. It terrified her. She begged me not to let this happen.
And 24 hours a day trying to make her well. Will you stop interrupting me? Don't let everything slide by. Not now.
Do you realize what this Ethiopian doctor is doing? He's marking the foreheads of those people he's picked to live. You see, there's not enough food to go around. It can't be wasted on the weak. Can you imagine? A mark and you live. No mark and you die. In the name of God, help World Vision stop this madness by sending whatever money you can afford to Food, Valley Forge, PA. Please, make a mark for life.
Flyers Hockey is brought to you in part by MCI. We sound better to business.
Don Tollison back at the Spectrum where the Calgary Flames trail the Flyers by a score of 3-0 after 1. We're going to be in live conversation with Lanny McDonald in just a minute, but before we do that, we want to take some taped looks at the highlights of his career. In any sport, what you're looking for is a player who is a picture of consistency. And when you want to talk about a guy who epitomizes that concept, it is definitely Lanny McDonald. With all those 19 and 20-year-olds tearing up the NHL these days, it sure is refreshing to honor one of the elder statesmen, one of the guys who's just kept doing the job year in and year out. And when you watch Lanny McDonald, you get the feeling he's one of those guys who proves the old adage, I'm not getting older, I'm getting better. After a lengthy stint in Toronto, Lanny played with the Colorado Rockies before settling in with the Flames in late 1981. In his first full season, he cranked up 66 goals and 32 assists for an impressive 98-point total. And then last year, he checked in with a nifty daily double of 33 goals and 33 assists, topping that off with a 13-point performance in the playoffs. Lanny McDonald is the only Flyer opponent to attempt more than one penalty shot against the Orange and Black, with 1-for-2 results. He's a 31-year-old native out of Hanna, Alberta, who played his junior hockey for that wonderfully named team, the Medicine Hat Tigers. These days, he brings to the Flames the ideal gift of experience, so valued by a team on the rise. From Lanny McDonald on videotape to live here in the studio. Lanny, when you're behind 3-0 on the road after a period of play, is it tough to just concentrate on clawing back one step at a time?
Well, that's exactly what we have to do. Unfortunately, we sure didn't want to let them get the jump on us like they did. It was a bad goal, the third goal, to put us really in a hole. You can come back from 2-0, but 3-0's a little tougher. And we've got to really work hard, clutch and grab and claw for everything we've got. And we've got our work cut out for us, but we've got a bunch of guys in there that don't quit.
Flyers have still got the physical players and the guys like a Dave Brown and a Glenn Cochran. But are you impressed with the way they can now skate with most teams in the National Hockey League, something they couldn't do 5 years ago?
Well, I think they really have changed their outlook on the game, but yet they still have that Flyer image. They've got the guys that take the body, the Sutters, the Cochrans, Brad Marsh, guys like that. But yet they've got some real speedsters out there, and they've got a couple guys out of the lineup that can scoot as well. So, like you say, they can probably skate with anyone in the league.
Lanny, we don't see the Western teams all that often, and the reverse of that, you don't see the teams back here that much. Does it make it that much more difficult to play a squad that you only see once, twice, 3 times in a matter of months?
Well, not really. Not today with the kind of scouting reports that you get from every game, and they send videotapes back and forth, and you know, it's your job to make sure that you're up for every game and make sure that the rest of your teammates are ready. Unfortunately, tonight it doesn't look like we were ready, but you know, it's 40 minutes left, and hopefully we can come back.
We were talking to some of the other younger Flames earlier about Lanny McDonald. It's got to make you feel good when young players say, gee, to have a guy like Lanny who's been in this league so long, take the extra time to help us out is really special. That's got to be a proud feeling for a veteran player.
Well, it is a nice feeling, and we have a really good relationship with the guys in our team. Everyone in the room gets along very well, and as much as I can help, I like to be able to be known as a guy that, hey, went out of his way to make sure some of the younger guys felt at home, and it only makes my career that much longer and makes it easier for us to win.
Final question. The Edmonton Oilers get a lot of attention all across the National Hockey League. The fact that you play in the same province and you don't get the same attention, is that really something that can motivate a hockey team, make you work that much harder, really?
Well, actually it is. It's tough being number 1, but it's even tougher being number 2 and living in the shadow of the Edmonton Oilers. We'll be glad to be a close second, hopefully make up some ground, and who knows, catch some teams napping when they least expect it, especially when the Oilers are around and just before us. Teams kind of tend to relax. Hey, the Calgary Flames are coming to town. It's not the Oilers, and we can jump on a few teams.
All right, as long as Lanny McDonald's around, you can be assured the Calgary Flames are going to be a talented, hard-working hockey team. But this afternoon, they've got their work cut out for them in the next 2 periods, because after 1, once again, Flyers 3, Flames nothing. We'll be back with more intermission activities after this timeout.
George, you've got MCI long distance. Think it's right for my business?
MCI? Wall Street's top banks and brokers use it. 5 of the big 6 automakers, 9 of the top 10 oil companies, plus hundreds of thousands of other businesses save hundreds of millions of dollars with MCI.
But I'm a small plane.
Planes? 6 top airlines use MCI for interstate calls anytime, coast to coast.
Call MCI. We sound better to business.
So you're really going to save for that vacation this year. Start now during savings days at True Value hardware stores. Feel the warmth from this True Value fan-forced electric heater, just $29.95. And heat up metal with this Master Mechanic propane torch kit, only $7.99. Beat the weather with Wells Lamont split leather gloves, just $4.44. Then reach high with a Keller aluminum folding stool, just $9.99 in the savings days circular from participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
WTBI TV, Channel 6, Philadelphia.
Don Tollison back at the Spectrum. Flyers 3, Flames nothing after 1. It wasn't that many years ago that the city of Calgary, Alberta was very excited about the fact that the Atlanta Flames would be moving into their town to become the Calgary Flames. Well, right now, the city of Calgary cannot wait for the year 1988 when they will be host to the world in the Winter Olympics. Here's more. Edmonton may have earned the first Stanley Cup in the province of Alberta, but Calgary has pulled in the honor of hosting the 1988 Winter Olympics. And to say the least, this young city on the rise is determined to take on the challenge of welcoming the world 3 years hence. The Saddle Dome, home of the Flames, will host the ice hockey and figure skating. And when it was built, the design included an expansion feature to allow for the bigger surface required by international rules. Calgary has a boomtown look, perhaps comparable to that of an American city like Dallas. But the folks here are equally proud of the unspoiled surroundings that include natural masterpieces like Banff and Lake Louise. As befits the planning of a modern Olympics, little will be left to chance. The ski runs are being designed to be the best humanly possible, starting from scratch on majestic Mount Allen. The speed skating rink will be an indoor facility, not only for the comfort of the spectators, but also to give competitors almost ideal conditions for the pursuit of Olympic and world records. Even venues like ski jumping will have spectator protection and refrigerated surfaces to guard against an unexpected warm spell. But if you ask the proud people who live in Calgary, they say the 1988 Winter Olympics will be a big success due to a self-confident spirit that borders on the cockiness of the American Old West. These folks say that frontier spirit will give the world a Winter Olympics in 1988 that will long be remembered.
In a few moments, you're going to hear about a special offer that could mean money to you. And then I'll be back to tell you more about it, so stay right where you are.
If there's one thing everyone needs in life, it's money.
This year is going to be different come April 15th. Money Magazine's given us some new tips on deductions that even our tax guy didn't know about.
It was worth subscribing for that alone.
That's what Money Magazine is all about, making the most of your personal finances.
I have to stay on top of my business, but managing my own money is just as important. That's why I get Money. It's told me all about KEOs, mutual funds. I've even started investing in stock options. You know, I've never read an issue that didn't have something in it for me.
Money covers everything from investing IRAs and cutting your taxes to making money in real estate.
Everybody has a different dream, but whatever it is, money can help you afford it. Whether you're fixing up or selling an old house or
finding a mortgage for a new one.
That's why today, more than ever, you need money. Whether you're saving, building financial security, or investing in a hot stock. Call now, 1-800-621-6500. You'll get 9 issues for 4 easy installments of just $5.62. We'll even send you Money's financial advisor free. A 3-volume portfolio on tax savings, profitable investments, and a worry-free retirement. Plus, each year, Money includes special reports on taxes, mutual funds, and the best investments for the year. So call 1-800-621-6500 now.
Even though it's called Money, it's really about people.
Hi, I'm Kathy, an operator here at Money Magazine. If you call now, you'll get Money's 3-volume financial advisor, absolutely free. Plus, each year, Money includes special reports on taxes, mutual funds, and the best investments for the year. This offer ends soon, so call right now.
That's Allison, Bobby Taylor back at the Spectrum in South Philadelphia, where the Flyers had those 3 first-period goals, 2 of them on their power play, 1 of them on a Calgary Flames power play. And I'll tell you, it is so interesting to see the Flyers, a team over the years that has given up a lot of power play goals because of all the penalty calls, score a pair on the power play.
And especially against a team like Calgary, a shorthanded goal as well as those 2 power play goals. But I think the factor here is that the Calgary Flames drop back in on their goaltender quite a bit. They give the Flyers an awful lot of room to maneuver out around the point position. Thomas Eriksson got his goal from there, and they do not
protect that area, and you can get an awful lot of shots from that area.
Okay, the first goal came from Brian Propp, who's been red hot for the Philadelphia Flyers. I guess the key here was to get it up into the net.
You know, it's very difficult when you're that close to the blue line to control the puck. Your first tendency is to get it in deep. Dvorak took his time, made the play, and then, of course, Timmy Kerr in front always attracts the crowd. Propp's there to put in the rebound. The Flyers take the lead.
That ability to know that the goaltender is down and get it up over him is important. Thomas Eriksson on this gets the perfect flat pass from Miro Dvorak and then tees it right up.
This is what I'm talking about, Don. Look at how Calgary has dropped way back. There's an awful lot of room between Thomas Eriksson and the defender. You have all the time, half of tomorrow, to put that puck in.
And then the third and final goal in the period with Calgary on the power play. Here comes Davey Poulin on a goal that's really a dream when you're a person who wants to score in this league, a breakaway opportunity.
I'll tell you, it's almost as smooth as Tennessee whiskey, because look at how he goes in there and just makes the move and waits to see which way the goaltender's going to go, and then right upstairs, right into the penthouse, and the Flyers have that 3-0 lead.
You were a goaltender in this league, Bobby. You saw Don Edwards try to figure out what Dave Poulin might do on the break. That's got to be the most helpless feeling, where probably every second feels like an hour seeing that guy coming down the ice.
Oh, for sure. The thing is that you try to wait to the last possible moment to see if that player will make his move first. On that occasion, Edwards couldn't wait any longer. He had to make the move first, and Poulin, of course, reacted accordingly.
We've heard about barking goaltenders. Is there anything you can ever do to distract the guy, or is he so concentrated upon the puck and his stick that he wouldn't even hear you if you did?
I think the one thing you have to do, Don, is you have to start getting used to using your stick on that play. You have to start poking it out there, forcing the forward to go one way or the other, and a lot of times you can knock the puck off his stick. But that's a skill that takes an awful lot of work, an awful lot of practice, and not many goaltenders in the league can master it.
All right, Don Edwards gave it his best shot, but Dave Poulin gave it an even better shot to extend the Flyers' lead to 3-0. That is where we stand after one period of play. We'll be back with more intermission activities right after this.
George, you've got MCI long distance. Think it's right for my business?
MCI? Wall Street's top banks and brokers use it. 5 of the big 6 automakers, 9 of the top 10 oil companies, plus hundreds of thousands of other businesses save hundreds of millions of dollars with MCI.
But I'm a small plane.
Planes? 6 top airlines use MCI for interstate calls anytime, coast to coast.
Call MCI. We sound better to business.
Join Wink Martindale for Tic-Tac-Toe.
For Tic-Tac-Toe and $1,100, name him.
Dudley Moore?
Right, you're the champion. No, not 7, 5. Sorry, can't do that. You have $5,700.
I guess I'll go with challenge category.
It's a total of $9,900.
Quakers?
You got it.
Fun and excitement weeknights at 7 on Tic-Tac-Toe. This portion of Flyers hockey is brought to you in part by your Pennsylvania, Delaware, Tri-State Honda dealers.
All right, a 3-0 lead. Pretty comfortable after one period for the Flyers, but against a team like the Calgary Flames, you can expect them to open it up in this second period, and they have the kind of offensive people like Kent Nielsen, the guy we focused on before the game, who could score in a hurry, so it should still be pretty exciting. Let's go upstairs to Gene Hart right now.
We welcome you back to the Spectrum. Thank you, Dono. We'll point out this is just the third of 10 games to be brought to you this year on WTV and TVI and Channel 6, of course, as we were checking the score below. The scoring in that first period, Flyers had 3. At 6:44, power play goal, Propp is 24th from Kerr and Dvorak. And then another power play goal at 10:02, Thomas Eriksson is 7th from Dvorak and Kerr. Poulin is 13th unassisted for the Flyers at 18:08, shorthanded. Flyers out shooting Calgary 8-3, with the Flames getting no shots in the final 13 minutes and 24 seconds of the first period. We'll begin the second period, however, with the Flames on the power play for another minute and 55 on a minor penalty that was whistled near the end of the first period on the Flyer winger, Dave Brown. At center ice, the Flyers will go with Dvorak and McCrimmon. Propp on with Poulin to kill this penalty. Out there, Beers on the right, 27. McDonald, number 9, who was Don's intermission gift. And with the puck, Paul Reinhardt on the far side. Flyers aggressive. Won't let Kent Nielsen out.
Now it rolls offensive left corner. Prop has it there. Round to the near side. Wants to work it back beautifully at center ice. No scoring play there, so he gets it to his defense. Now they can play four corners and kill some more time. A wrap around to the near side. Edwards sets it up. Hooks it past Poland, but McCrimmon will pick it off at the right point. Into the corner, round behind the net. There is Poland, back to front, and shot, score! Brian Proppy, you won't believe that short-handed goal. It was like a carousel. Prop, McCrimmon, and Poland, and the Flyers score their second short-handed goal of the game. Brian Propp, second overall, he has 25. And it was McCrimmon around behind the net, getting it off to Poland, back to McCrimmon, to Prop alone in front, and bang into the net. And it comes at 38 seconds, and can you believe the Flyers spurt today? 2 short-handed goals. That puts the number against Calgary this year to 13. And that easily should be from Poland and McCrimmon at 30 seconds. And Poland just in a hot streak right now. Up ice come the Flames, and we have an offside 38 seconds, and we might point out, as Bobby Taylor joins us from downstairs with Don Tollison, that point for Brad McCrimmon, his 23rd assist, gives him 30 points on the year, and that is a new career single-season high. Mike Eaves, who played 4 years with the Minnesota North Stars and was their key man on their power play, and then was traded to the Calgary Flames. And many think he's probably really one of the fine two-way players on this club. Tough hockey player. Has the play at center ice. Into the Philadelphia zone, 4-0, and the only thing that can happen now to Philadelphia, residual letdown after that game last night in the 4-0 lead. Shot from the point, Lindbergh just ate that up. Nary a move as Dan Quinn was taken behind the net by his number 10 counterpart, Brad McCrimmon. They tap high sticks like knights in combat and then drift off to other areas.
That defenseman will always try and clear that front court. Move that player right out from in front of his goaltender. And, of course, that player who's trying to maintain that position doesn't like to be pushed around. So it's a battle of the wits and also of strength. But most times, the players will stop after that whistle is blown.
Could you ever write a book about what they say to each other when they bump like that?
There'd be an awful lot of beeps.
I would bet Moose DuPont have come up with some classic in that situation. Flyers fail to clear. Lane slip offensive corner. Dvorak there, out along the far board. Knocked down by McGinnis, trying to go in deep again. Boom. Quinn is bumped by Dvorak. Goes into Poland, and this time he gets it through. McGinnis to center ice. Flames still have 30 seconds on the advantage. Work through to E. E's cut off by Dvorak. And there is the perfect play. The defenseman taking the player out and the trailing man on the defense picking it up and shooting it down. If you get the man, doesn't matter where the puck goes, right, Bobby?
Exactly.
But as Bobby has seen so often, you look at the puck and you forget the man, and he's the guy that hurts you.
You lose both then.
All right, here they come over the line. Lube with a drive from the left circle, blocked by Mark and ice. And out of the penalty box now comes Philadelphia's Rich Sutter, who was serving the minor penalty given to Dave Brown. Brown, there's almost a steal in front by Derek Smith, who's out there with Zezel and Kerr. The Flames penetrate. Shot by Kerry Wilson, high off Keller Lindbergh. Flames try to get it behind the net. It's to Derek Smith, and he shoots it to center ice. 4-0. And odds. We've had in the game 7 power play opportunities, and yet a total of only 14 shots. Flyers 2 power play goals, 2 shorthanded. Paul Baxter at the point shoot. Capped in front, away from Richie Crom. And the Flyers, Zezel tries to outlet. Crom smothers it. Now all of a sudden the Flames are playing aggressively. That's the only way they're going to be able to get back in this hockey game. As the Flyers flip in off the skate of Kerr behind Don Edwards. Picked up by Colin Patterson. Up on the right side, here comes Kerry Wilson through to Crom. Toward the net goes McCowan as Marsh tries to get it. A shot on, rebound. Off the stick of Lindbergh in front, and it was cleared away by Erickson before the Flames could get a secondary rebound poke. Out of the corner, and Zezel does the right thing, pops it up in the air to center ice, and Baxter will trail in at his own line, puts it up the middle for Colin Patterson. His pass at the Flyer line picked off by McCrimmon, sent back deep in the Calgary zone. 3:10 gone second period, 4-0 Philadelphia, and we're glad you're spending this Sunday afternoon with us on Channel 6. There's a break. Lindbergh out against Randy McDonald. He's out of the net. Man in front. They look to put it in front. Lindbergh gets back, falls into the net as he's hit by Dvorak to the point. There's a shot in, and it's cleared away from Cary Elarada. And there was
Flyers' keystone cut as the puck rolls to the Flyer net and finally put up on the near side, the center ice. Here comes the Flyers. Carson over the line. Drive off Edwards' glove to the far side. Ron Sutter pokes it behind as Eloranda takes off Carson. That's Tocchet behind the net. 4 players divided between the two teams. And Ket Nielsen comes out with it to McDonald at center ice against Sutter, McCrimmon, and Dvorak. McDonald tries to go by Dvorak. Good shoulder by the Czech, who checks Lanny McDonald to the near side and sent up the middle by Philadelphia's Tocchet to Ron Sutter. They're going to try to drop it into Tocchet. He's there. Fakes the shot. Rolls it cross ice. And he missed a half a stride with the goaltender out of position. And down in the far side, finally Edwards gets back as Eves over the line. Look out, McDonald, who can drive. And it's deflected from the right circle by that ever second goaltender, Brad Marsh. 4:24 gone. Second period from the Spectrum. Flyers 4 and Calgary nothing.
For everyone who thought the Honda was no bigger than a bread box, this announcement. This beautiful Honda Accord is wider than the BMW 325e. The Honda Prelude is wider and longer than the Porsche 911. Even the Honda Civic wagon has over 3 inches more headroom than the Peugeot wagon. So when you visit your Tri-Honda dealer, tell him you're looking for something a little larger. He's got a wide selection. Your Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware Tri-State Honda dealers.
Bobby, we mentioned how Calgary, as a franchise from that Albertan city, has not won a game in Philadelphia. They're 0 for 6. Counting the goals today, they've been outscored in those 7 games, counting this one, 35-9. So they have averaged this high-scoring unit less than 2 goals a game in Philadelphia. And you're not going to win anywhere with that total. Flyers working in on the net. It hits the outside to the right of Edwards. He drops it off there for Eves. Gives it off near side, and Lube has to spin away from Rich Sutter. Does it so well. Sutter does a spin on his skates to keep his balance. Now Marsh on the far side pumps it into center. Taken off there by Propp, who has 2 goals. Out there with Rich Sutter. And the other lineman is Murray Craven. There's a penetration by Bozek, but clearly offside, as the Flames have yet to get any rhythm in their play today. Being outshot 10-7 and outscored 4-0 early second period. Interesting note of those 10 shots, Gene. The Flyers have had 3 on the power play, producing 2 goals. And they've had 2 shorthanded, producing 2 goals. So they've had 5 of their 10 shots on the special teams, and it has produced all of their scoring. So they're 4 for 5 when somebody has an advantage. That's 13 shorthanded goals already given up this year by Calgary. Miro Dvorak, who is going to come in from Czechoslovakia for 1 year and has stayed part of a career. And Bobby, they picked a good one. Yes. Over the line, Tim Young. Nice hip check in there, taken out of the play by Neil Sheehy, but gets the puck in the corner, tries to dump it in, taken away by the Flames, and up ice comes Carey Wilson through over the line. Colin Pettersson a drive, and that was ticketed, and Lindbergh kicked out that right pad and kept it away. And I mean, that was a tough shot from a hard, long out angle. Puck goes behind the Calgary net. Edwards off the glass far side. Patterson is run over. There's Cochran, who almost scored on his first shift as a winger. And we're going to have a penalty, and I believe it's against Cochran for high stick. And it will be at 5:37, second period. Flyer penalty, and we'll have a Flame power play coming up. They trail 4-0.
Experience the quick response and smooth performance of Exxon Extra, our highest octane unleaded premium gasoline ever. Its extra boost of octane quiets the knocks, silences the pings for extra smooth performance. Exxon Extra, quality you can count on.
Glenn Cochran took a check from Neil Sheehy, the rookie defenseman of the Flames, and after that he got the stick up too high, gave him a tap on the helmet. He'll go off for high sticking. 5:37 the time. Calgary on their 5th power play. Well, you light matches near dynamite. Sooner or sudden something's going to explode. McGinn is up at center ice, right winging off the skate of Dan Quinn down behind the Philadelphia net. Beers picks it up. Flames have 3 players behind the Flyer net. The Flyers pick it off and pull it up. The Propp at center ice coming with Dvorak over the line. Works along the left side and then just sends it back in the Philadelphia zone. Boy, the Flyers are executing masterfully today. They're doing it the way the book says. And I think nobody appreciates this more in a grim way
Then Coach Bob Johnson, who was the great tactician when he was at the University of Wisconsin, and a marvelous coach by all indication from his players for Calgary. Puck down in as the Flames again can't get anything going. There's a play in front. Scrambling is Edwards, and poking at it was Propp as the Flyers came close to shorthanded goal number 3.
Calgary just are not working hard enough on their power play. They're taking too much for granted, Gene. They're just nonchalanting an awful lot of the plays, and it's enabled the Flyers' more aggressive forechecking style to come in and then take advantage of it. That puck bouncing around there. Edwards very alertly just jumping on it to force the face-off.
I remember the great use of that word. Yogi Berra once dropped an easy fly when he was an outfielder. He said, "I nonchalanted it."
Yeah.
Offensive left circle face-off Philadelphia. Lindsey Carson, 18. Ron Sutter, 14. The penalty killers with Thomas Eriksson and Brad Marsh. And up ice comes Paul Baxter, 2 to Kent Nielsen over the line. Nielsen at the hash marks, right boards. Tries to get inside center. Goes back to the left point, and it bounces through Carey Eloranta. Trying to get it over Ron Sutter's stick. Nielsen had to bounce it and no control by Eloranta, who's a Finn. Here he comes now, number 20 up on the right side, busting through. Into the zone is Håkan Loob, and as he tries to come through Eriksson, the puck does, he doesn't. Nice play out there as Sutter is dumped, but the Flyers' Marsh has it and ices it with just 30 seconds remaining on the Flame power play. The number 2 power player, the number 1 in the league. 5 opportunities. They haven't gotten a goal, and they've only had 8 total shots in the game. Look out, there's Loeb, and he worked right in front. He's got a perfect opportunity, and he waited too long, got into traffic, and the shot blocked up into the end seats.
Not only have they not had many shots or scored on their 5 opportunities, Gene, they've given up those 2 shorthanded goals by Philadelphia. Dave Brown now out of the penalty box after serving 7 minutes at the end of the first period. He picked up 2 for roughing, 5 for fighting. And you made mention Brad Marsh has control of puck and out at goals. A very commonly spoken term that we've used a number of occasions, but you'd use it all the time. He's always in the right place. He's having probably, I would think, his best year as a pro.
He was traded from Mel Bridgman, and then Bridgman traded by Calgary to New Jersey Devils, so the Flyers come up on that deal a plus.
Game in, game out. He's very, very steady, blocks the shots, makes the defensive plays, and with Eddie Hospodar out of the lineup, he's the one defenseman back there that plays a real physical game.
Baxter at the point, shot short side wide. On the near side, poor Propp gets it up through on the near side to Poulin. Broken up and then taken by Propp. Through into the zone. He's on a breakaway. Look out. Short-handed. Score! 3 short-handed goals and a hat trick for Brian Propp. Holy cow. Welcome to Flyers hockey on this Sunday.
We've talked about stick checking and how it will hurt you. Calgary, all 4 players back there went for the puck. And forwards just love that when you just try to take that puck away from them. Propp just dipsy-doos into the round, came in there and just beat Edwards for his hat trick. His second shorthanded goal, the Flyers' 3rd of the game, and it's a 5-0 lead. And believe me, that young man has just been outstanding for Philadelphia. And let's listen to the crowd as they roar their approval.
Bobby, that's Brian Propp's 3rd lifetime hat trick, his 2nd against Calgary, the other coming at the Old Corral in Calgary on 28th of December, '81. He had a 2nd this year on the 18th of October against Vancouver when the Canucks were beaten by the Flyers 13-2. And I'd like to point out as well, as Reggie Lemelin is going in, for Philadelphia lifetime against the Calgary Flames. That is their 4th lifetime hat trick. Bobby Clark, Reggie Leach, and Brian Propp in 1981.
Well, Mr. Poulin picks up another point on that goal as well. He picks up the assist along with Brad McCrimmon. So Propp's 26th, the hat trick from Dave Poulin and Brad McCrimmon at 7:34. Flyers up 5-0. Well, Reggie Lemelin now in goal. Lemelin's appeared in 26 games with a 3.66 average.
Play up ice at the Flyer line. Tom with a drive wide to the long side. Harry Wilson picks it up along the far boards, tries to dump it in. The penalty is over, and I'm sure Calgary's glad of that. They have a man in front. That was Colin Patterson, but they go behind. Reinhardt looks to center, taken off by Dvorak around. Colin Patterson centers, and it's tipped away by
Lindbergh and the Flyers break out 4-on-2. Craven over the line with Brown up the middle. Goes to the net. There's a pass. Kept right on. And Lemelin comes up with a good save. Now it's stolen by Craven and tapped off the stick to center ice as the Flames kind of come through, and Carey Wilson's going to try to turn McCrimmon. Brown behind the net, and he loses it off the side of the Flyer cage. Philadelphia off Craven's skate to center ice. Into the zone. Nice move past the Borak. Right in Crom. Saved by Lindbergh. It's in crease. He falls and sits on it for the stoppage of play. 8:30 gone. Second period from the Spectrum. Flyers 5, Calgary nothing.
We're with you for daytime fun on the Joker's Wild.
2 1/4 for the win. 200, 75, 100. You're over the top. Congratulations. Got 200, 400.
Come on, Joker! Joker!
Stories again.
Contestants win more and more on the Joker's Wild. Weekdays, 11 a.m. on Channel 6.
Again, changing goaltenders for the Flames. Reggie Lemelin in goal for Calgary. 14-5-4 is his record, a 3.66 goals against average. He was the net against Philadelphia in that 4-3 Calgary win at the Saddle Dome on January the 3rd. He's faced one shot already. That close-in drive that he had to be awfully quick off the stick of Dave Brown. Don Edwards only faced 11 shots, gave 5 goals up. But I think, Bob, we did mention that. I don't think the removal of Don Edwards is an implication of his bad play. I think probably Bob Johnson saying, gee, you're not giving him any help. Maybe you'll do it for Lemelin. Up the middle of the ice, Flyers come. Zezel over the line, works to the left, pivots, looks to throw it up the middle, has nowhere to go, rolls it behind the net. Eloranta takes it away, but Zezel gets it back, tries to roll it up to the point to Eriksson. He's fallen on the near side by Eloranta as the Flames shoot it to center ice. Rajon Lemelin, lifetime record against Philadelphia, 3 wins, 6 defeats, and his average 4.10. Flyers steal, try to put it to Kerr in front. Flames take it off. An outlet up the middle to Kent Nielsen. Coming with Peplinski over the line. He's triple teamed. Loses the puck, and now Kerr turns back 2-on-2 with Zezel. Eloranta picks him up. Kerr drops to Zezel. Cuts inside. Oh, there he is with a backhander. Lost it as he tried to shove through unwisely to Kerr when he had the shot. Well, you look at the shot totals and the penalty totals, you figure this is nip and tuck. The penalties, 7 out of the 12 to Philadelphia. The Flames have had 5 power plays, and the shots at 12-9 Philadelphia. That would indicate a tough game, and yet the Flyers are breezing in a remarkable effort. 3 shorthanded goals in a row and 2 power play goals. There, Ron Sutter was held by Eloranta. Still has the puck along the near side. Behind the net, Tocchet blocks it, taken on by Eaves, and then Al McGinnis, number 2, steals it away for Calgary and lifts it into center ice. Flyers knock it down there. Nice pivot by Dvorak as he's knocked down by Eaves. 10 minutes remaining second period, and the Flyers have really come back with a gusto here after that loss late yesterday to the Islanders. Puck to center, McCrimmon knocks it down, can't go in, feeds near side to Tocchet as the Flyers now bust in. Pass to Tocchet, shot over the right shoulder of Lemelin, and you could see him react with the shot going by his ear. He never saw it till it came by. Pokanlu, the really tiny Swede, tries to work past Derek Smith, who blocks it. Dug out by the Flames. Mike Eaves at center, sent into the Philadelphia zone. Lost. There's a play almost to Eaves in front by himself. Flyers cover that. Pocket up through to Derek Smith. Over the line down that left wing side, but Timmy Young couldn't hold the line along the near wing and goes in too soon. 9:20 remaining second period. It's Flyers 5 and the Flames no score. Flyers just tied that record, or team record rather, for shorthanded goals in a game. They got 3 against the Washington Capitals last December. One period. Exactly. So they've tied their record, their club record that is, for 3 shorthanded goals in a game. 5-0 the score here. 9:20 remains in the second period. The Flyers on top. McCown, the defenseman, up on the near side to Richie Crom. Crom's father, Bobby Crom, once the coach of the Detroit Red Wings. Coach of the year, too, one year in the National Hockey League. That's when Ted Lindsay brought aggressive hockey back to the Olympia. Signed about 2,000 players. He had everybody in North America under contract. Including Steve Coates, I believe. And, of course, Bob Johnson, the Calgary coach, his son is an excellent player and captain of the Hartford Whalers, Mark Johnson. There's a play. There goes Derek Smith right on in. Backhander, rebound. And Lemela is strong on both and keeps that away. Now a move past Derek Smith at the Flame line by Carey Wilson.
shoots it into the Flyer zone. It would have been an icing, but Lindbergh touches up as the Flames and Flyers work for it on the near side, and it's lifted by Philadelphia's Thomas Eriksson to Derek Smith at center ice. Fires it in, and we have a line of change. I'll tell you, I'm going to look back on that game sheet against Washington. I know the Flyers had 3 in the second period, but I don't know if they were consecutive, Bobby, but the Flyers shorthanded goals, 1 late in the first and 2 in the second, have come consecutively. Nice move inside the zone, and that prop is dumped. Through up the middle here. They come over the line. Bozak. Open man in front. Drop pass. Shot. Score by Danny Quinn.
Boy, what a play by Bozak. He just really had the Flyers strung out. It was a 3-on-2 situation, and he just made a magnificent play as all he did was control the puck. With the trailer coming back, Dan Quinn, they had a right winger breaking in on that right side, which forced the other defenseman, Dvorak, to go over to him. Tim Hunter was the one going back there, so all Bozak did was take the look of the situation, drop it to Quinn, and Quinn puts a high shot up over the shoulder of Pelle Lindbergh, and the Calgary Flames are on the scoreboard. But what a play by young Bozak.
The assist number 26, Steve Bozak.
Bozak gets 1 assist.
Number 5, Neil Sheehy.
And Neil Sheehy. I'll tell you, if you're going to get beaten on the first goal, that's the kind, because nobody could have stopped that one. Bullets to the short side high over Lindbergh's shoulder.
Neil Sheehy.
So that's oddly enough the first even strength goal we've had in the game. Flyers with 2 power play goals and 3 shorthanded. Now Kerr penetrates, is rubbed out by Sheehy. Flyers steal in front. They almost got it to Peter Zezel as the Flames shoot it all the way down. We'll have an icing call as Brad Marsh reaches the first ahead of Lanny McDonald. We have 7:35 remaining second period from the Spectrum. The Flyers 5 and Calgary 1.
The Honda Prelude. Some people like to drive it wide open.
Your Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware tri-state Honda dealers.
5 on the score. 7:35 remains in the second period. The Flyers on top.
Ron Sutter, along with Cochran on the left, Tocchet on the right. McCrimmon with Dvorak. Quinn, Beers, will make that Eves at center ice with Lug and Eddie Beers. Defensively, they have McCowan with Paula Baxter. They win the draw around to the near side. Beers tries to outlet. McCrimmon at the point keeps it in. Shot on Lemelin off his pads to the far side to Loeb. And Loeb outlets the center, and they almost had a 2-on-1 as they had Dvorak stationary and 2 men going in on McCrimmon. Beers and Loeb. Puck shot in the Flyer zone to the left of Lindbergh, deflected behind the net. Dvorak peeks right, looks out left, still behind the net, has McCrimmon near side. Gives it to McCrimmon, to Tocchet, taps but not out. Flames keep it in along the near side. Driven toward the net, it rolls behind. The thing you always have to worry about when a team gets a commanding lead midway through a game is that they do not lose not just the competitiveness, but the high-intensity concentration that's needed to play well. And you lose a little bit of that hunger when you have a commanding lead. You're a little satiated. And the Flames getting better into the zone. They try to feed in on the net. Lindbergh taps it behind. It's up for grabs, and then the net is dislodged as both Timmy Young and Eddie Beers of Calgary go in. Might point out to our new viewers on Channel 6 about the magnets this year.
That's right. Nets are not held in by pipes. They have a magnet set in the ice. There's Tocchet coming off. Eddie Hospodar, one of the injured Flyer defensemen, sitting up in the press box along with Joe Cadillac, the team services coordinator, and a couple of reporters.
5-1 Philadelphia, 6:40. Who's your guest at intermission downstairs? Who are we going to talk to the second period? Pete Zezel, number 25, from the Scarborough area, played for the Toronto Marlies last year. Got 28 points for Philadelphia in his rookie season, 5 goals, 23 assists. Along the far side, it's cleared in. March takes it, flips it off the far boards, and the Flyers get it to center, 2-on-1. They've got Young with Derek Smith for the net. Young will keep it. Right in front. Goes to shoot. Oh, right at the goal line. As he got it through. And Carrie Elorant, who had gotten behind Lemelin, saved the goal. as the Flames get up through at center ice. It's played by Reinhardt into the zone far side. Young cuts off Crom, and the puck is wound around to the Flyers near side. Open ice play for Crosman into center ice, so he takes the bump from Richie Crom. Puck deep in the Calgary zone. Down to 6 minutes remaining. Flyers got a shorthanded goal late in the first to make it 2-0, and they got 2 more shorthanded goals in the first 8 minutes of the second. 3 unanswered shorthanded goals. That's a remarkable feat in this league. Lead at 5-0, and then Quinn got him on the board to make it 5-1. Puck into the offensive left corner. By himself is Craven as the Flyers making a line change. So he tries to hold that puck in there, and Mark Time falls on it. Let's see if Ron Fournier signals neutral zone face-off. He does not. 5:37 remaining, second period from the Spectrum. Flyers 5, Calgary 1.
Whether you're removing paint, refinishing, or redecorating, rely on quality supplies from True Value hardware stores. Remove paint from many surfaces with the 3M 5-inch disc sander kit. Or when using a chemical solvent, choose the reusable 3M stripping pad. This Formbee's paint remover kit is ideal for refinishing wood furniture. And for excellent painting results, choose the True Test Orel 4-piece brush set or 3-piece roller set from participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
We're at the Spectrum. Gene Hart, Bobby Taylor, along with Channel 6 Sports Director Don Tollefson. Again, we're glad you're spending this Sunday with us. Paul Baxter for Calgary tries to outlet as the Flyers have come up big this afternoon, leading 5-1. Puck given away in the zone. Baxter, who used to be a bad man with Pittsburgh, picked up for his muscle by Calgary, and he's kept himself pretty well under control and has been an asset. Drives himself. Oh, he uncorks one over Lindbergh's shoulder. It ricochets right out in front. Philadelphia controls. McCrimmon on the defense with Dvorak. They've got Dave Brown out with Craven, and Brian Propp, who has 3 goals for Philadelphia. 1 power and 2 shorthanded. Third lifetime hat trick.
Here they go.
Up, now we got another one.
Hunter and Brown, and Hunter was the one who came after there. And now they're both left-handed throwing their punches. Tim Hunter of the Calgary Flames goes 6'2", 200-pounder. And we mentioned Brown 6'5", about 215. But you can see both of them trying to maneuver themselves. And now Brown is really... Now Hunter's throwing him down a couple of times. You could just see it looking. Tim Hunter came over to Brown a couple of times looking for him. And it'll be interesting to see what penalties will be handed out by referee Ron Fournier. I would think, Gene, that it'll be just majors because Fournier was going up the ice, did not see the start of it.
Well, Brown got an extra 2 for being the aggressor in that end of the first period goal with Calgary's Jim Peplinski. So we'll just... Hunter's going to get an extra 2. Roughing and fighting. And Brown gets fighting. So the Flyers will come up with their third power play opportunity. They're already 2 for 2. Hunter on the season now with 151 minutes.
15:03. Hunter took Dave Brown out along the boards before the puck came. Then they both started throwing punches. Hunter seems that his were glancing off the chin, not getting much steam behind it, not really getting the full brunt of it, as Brown has the longer reach, was able to hold him off. But mostly a wrestling match. And the linesman will not jump in until those players go down, and I don't blame them.
I think that's probably the wisest thing they're told in their whole careers.
Brown, I think, got a couple of shots later on in the fight with an uppercut. But they'll be in the penalty box. Hunter will pick up the 7 minutes, 2 for roughing, 5 for fighting. Dave Brown will pick up just a major for fighting. This all coming at 15:03.
Kerry Wilson is serving the minor given to Hunter. Puck in the Flame zone. Flyers are 2 for 2 today on the advantage, and they are 3 for 4 on the year against Calgary, going 1 for 2 in their game at the Saddle Dome. Forechecking pressure. Eve steals. They had Nielsen in front. Poked up, back to the point. There's a drive, tipped in by Leaves. And all of a sudden, the Flames like that goal, and they're getting a little more offensive-ish.
Power play? Getting more what?
Offensive-ish.
Oh.
That's like defensive-ish. Yeah, nonchalant. Oh. I tell you, you newcomers are going to learn all kinds of language here. Indian, American, French.
Some Indian
Czech,
terms as well.
Swede, and makeup.
Flyers on their 4th power play opportunity. And, you know, Dvorak is very quietly playing a very solid game for the Flyers this afternoon, and he's been playing much more aggressively as far as the body contact is concerned. You know, you always think of European players more adept at puck handling and passing and skating, and they don't use the body that often, but Dvorak's taken out a couple of players along the boards very soundly.
Brian Propp right now in his last 9 games in which he's had points, 8 goals, 9 assists, 17 points. What a run. Puck behind the Calgary net, lifted up on the far side. Bozak, who has the assist on the Quinn goal, tries to get out. Flyers keep it in. Behind the net, Tocchet is in there along with Reinhart, roughs him up. Reinhart tries to protect the puck. In there is Lindsey Carson, and Tocchet comes out in that battle with the draw. Now they fight in that corner to the right of goaltender Lemelin. Tocchet and Carson. It's right through the goal mouth. Tapped back by the Calgary fence to the point. McCrimmon off the near side to Ron Sutter. Sutter in front. Tip. Oh, right there by Lindsey Carson. Nicely executed, but did not finish properly. The Flames back at center. A long drive that dipped to the right of Lindbergh. Knocks it down behind as it had a chance to roll in front. Flyers with 38 seconds on the advantage up the middle of the ice. Rolls through on the right side to Tocchet over the line. Goes into the right corner. Has McCrimmon in front and then lost it. As he took his eye to see where McCrimmon was, Eves came across to block it. And the Flyers trying to keep it in, but to no effect. Flames come down the middle of the ice there. It's Nielsen one-on-one. Breaking for the net is Eves. And lifting his stick perfectly from behind was Thomas Eriksson, and no chance there. One last rush. Propp with 3 goals. 1 power play shoot-handed into the zone. 2 short-handed. No, shoot-handed. Along the far side. Well, I'm not used to working Sunday afternoons. Okay, now Brad McCrimmon to Marsh. He's in and tapped off the stick by McCowan. Behind the net, Propp in front for a stuffer. And just as he looked, Lemelin poked it away. Propp again tries a shot. That's blocked. Team's at full strength. Behind the net, Craven is in there. Rolls it loose to the far side to Kerr. Tried a little quick move in front. Didn't control it. And the Flames, with 2:40 remaining second period, 5-1 Philadelphia penetrate. That's Nielsen. Right up the middle off the near boards to Paplinski. Rolls it behind the net. Carey Wilson centers. But there is Philadelphia's Murray Craven to drive it to center ice. McCown up ice, taken off by Thomas Eriksson. At the line, drills in. It's blocked. Back to Eriksson along the left circle. Man in front. And that was Craven, but it was deflected away. And the Flames, Eddie Beers, up to center. He's got Lanny McDonald with him and Paplinski. And Paplinski is turned around on a good shoulder check by Philadelphia's Derek Smith. Puck behind the Philadelphia net. Cleared to the near side. The Flames try to get it to McDonald. Poked away from him by Eriksson to the far side. McDonald back behind the net. Beers tries to screen off Brad Marsh. Does, but Marsh won't let him center the puck. Then kicks it off to the near side. What a move by Derek Smith to get away from Lanny McDonald and send it through to Kerr. Right swinging into the zone, and Tim Young just had to go off his stick as he had beaten Sheehy. Now Young tied up behind. Tries to get some help from Derek Smith. Does, as the Flyers keep it in. Rich Sutter tore into Calgary goal. And then we get a penalty here. And what do we got? Derek Smith and Neil Sheehy.
Boy, I'll tell you that Derek Smith took out Sheehy. Sheehy was a boxing champ, has done a lot of boxing for Harvard. He's a graduate of Harvard, and they both dropped their gloves, and now mostly wrestling is occurring in front of the net at Calgary. I've never seen a Flame team more aggressive than I have here this afternoon, Gene. This Neil Sheehy is one of their up-and-coming young players.
When did you ever expect to see a Flame team with more penalty minutes than Philadelphia? But they came in with 70 more today, a total. All right, while we call the penalties, a minute 34 remain in the second period from the Spectrum. Flyers 5, Calgary 1.
The EPA figures say you can get 49 miles out of a gallon of gas. If you aren't getting this kind of mileage from your gasoline, maybe you should change your brand of car. We recommend you try the #1 mileage car, the Honda Civic CRX HF. The right car for your gasoline.
Your Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Tri-State Honda dealers.
Well, referee Ron Fournier's handed out 7 minutes to both players. Derek Smith of the Flyers will pick up 2 minutes for hooking, plus a 5-minute major for fighting. And Neil Sheehy of the Calgary Flames will pick up 2 minutes for elbowing, plus 5 minutes for fighting. All at 18:26 of this second period.
Sheehy with 3 penalties in the game. He has 24 minutes on the season. The Flames have 9 penalties. Flyer Smith picks up his first major in the NHL. He now has a total of 19 minutes as the Flyers have 10 penalties. Coincidental majors and minors, so they'll skate at full strength on the ice. On the near side, McCowan up at center, tried to break it away to Colin Patterson, but the Flyers take it, and Timmy Young over the line, cuts into the slot, tries a shot from the left circle. That's smothered near board. Good check by Rich Sutter on McCown. All of a sudden, you got an idea that they're going to start playing demolition derby out there with bodies. Outlet up on the left wing at center. Tim Young puts the guy off, and they're looking now to hit people. As into the zone, there was a fall-down body block by McCown against Rich Sutter as he goes off, and Kerr comes on. Play through to Kerry Wilson. Can't make it. And in the zone is Richie Crom. They jam it up at the Calgary bench along the near side, and we get a stoppage of play. 48 seconds remaining, second period, 5-1 Philadelphia.
Well, again, another difference of opinion. Happening right in front of the Calgary Flames players bench. But a lot of times nothing is said when they all gather together there, Gene. Most of the talking is done by the officials trying to calm everybody down.
But, you know, we're just 2 weeks away from a next Channel 6 game. It's a blockbuster, Bobby. Buffalo, a team that's only lost one of its last 18, will be in on Saturday afternoon, February the 2nd, February 2nd, a 1 o'clock game, and we're happy. That'll be our next time in, and fans are going to see one of the NHL's best and really coming.
That's one of the teams that Coach Mike Keenan of the Flyers would love to beat because of Scotty Bowman, who he worked with.
Well, the Flyers tied and won in Buffalo, and that's the only game Buffalo has lost at home all year. Puck down behind the Philadelphia net. Nice play by Zezel. Then won't let anybody handle it. Gives it away. Bozak in front. Backhand shot smothered. Look out. Hakan-Lube. He's got a man in front. Drive. Short side save. And the Flames realize they get one more. They're back by 3 instead of 5 as they were earlier. Flyers pick it off. Marsh has it blocked. Now all of a sudden they're scrambling a bit. Eaves goes after Zezel behind the Philadelphia net. Marsh is in there. Puts a grab on Crom. Now Poulin blocks off his man, Bozak. They tie it up along the Flyers' defensive left wing side with 4 seconds left. Centering pass, and we're going to get safely out of this period as the buzzer sounds. Then 2 periods of play. Prop, and then Prop again. Short-handed goals to give Philadelphia a 5-0 lead. Danny Quinn's 11 from Bozak and Sheehy. 5-1 after 2 periods. The Flyers have outshot the Flames 17-15. 9 for Flyers in that period, 12 for Calgary in that second period. And total, the Flyers have had 9 of the game, or 10 of the game's 19 penalties. That's the numbers out of the way. We come to the end of the second period from the Spectrum. Flyers 5, the Calgary Flames 1. And now let's go down on the Sunday afternoon to Don Tollefson.
They're trailing the Flyers by a score of 5-1 as we look at referee Ron Fournier, ready to start the third period. For that face-off, here's Gene Hart upstairs.
Thank you. And Ron Fournier with the orange band, the balding gentleman, veteran Bob Hodges out of Galt, Ontario, 12th year in the league, and Bob is 40. Talking to the other linesman, Ryan Bozak, from a great place, Swiss Current, Saskatchewan. 12th year in the league, he's 37. Mr. Fournier from Quebec City. Flyers defending right, Pelle Lindbergh, and to the left, Réjean Lemelin, former Philadelphia Firebird who came in to replace Don Edwards after 7 minutes and 34 seconds of play in the second period, with the Flyers blowing up to a 5-0 lead. And to highlight Brian Propp's hat trick, including 2 shorthanded goals in the second period. 4 players, 2 even aside, are in the penalty box. Tim Hunter and Neil Sheehy for the Flames. Dave Brown and Derek Smith, but right now, with 3 seconds gone, on the next stoppage of play, Hunter will come out, and so will Brown. Now McCown in his own zone. The Flames have a lot of firepower, and they figure, let's get one, we'll get another. There's a breakthrough to McDonald. Tries a shot, not much on it, from the right circle. This is a team that can score 200 goals. They average 5 a game. So I'm sure Bob Johnson says, work it one at a time. If we hit our average, we got a tie hockey game. Puck up ice, stolen away by McCown. Down that left wing side, the Flames converge and bump. And now comes Kerr, rolling it to the line, where it's taken away by Kent Nielsen. On the left side, McCown, Nielsen, along with Baxter. They rolled it into the Philadelphia zone, and now the Flyers with Carson out there with Ron Sutter and Tuckett. Defensively, they have Marsh with McCrimmon. There's a play through into the Philadelphia zone. Look out. Breaking play by Richie Crom. In front, they tried to find the tip for Colin Patterson. No play. It's dumped behind by McGinnis. Tries to clear it behind. It's taken away. Look out. They have a man in front, but then Patterson can't make the play. Dumps it behind. Lindbergh pokes it, and it goes off the backside of the Flyer net. Sprung free. They whack at it to the near side. Lindbergh tries to clear it out. There's a shot from the right side by Reinhardt off the body of Lindsey Carson, the center ice. But so far, the Flames have controlled play after a minute and 24 seconds into the third period. Flyers now, again, are going to maybe have to fight back into that competitive intensity as they got bloated with that 5-0 lead. Puck behind the net. Calgary working to the near side in front. Shot blocked off the stick of Reinhardt, and Marsh leading the charge with Tocchet up at center ice. He's got an alley. Left wing dribbler. Oh, and he almost caught the short side as Lemelin gave him a piece of that and had to get the pad off and tuck it off the top of the pad. If that's another 6 inches, Marsh scores a biggie against his old teammates. 2 minutes gone in the period. We haven't had a stoppage. As here comes Mike Eaves back at the Flyer line with Bozak. Shot short side wide. It's caught the stick of Philadelphia's defenseman Marsh. To the far side, Eaves back to the point. The Flames are working with alacrity now. Now there goes McCowan right in on net. Short side shot hits the outside of the net. And you'll often hear huzzas there as from an angle. It looks like it goes in. Flyers clear it out. Now with that stoppage out of the penalty box, Philadelphia's Dave Brown, and joining him, Tim Hunter. That leaves only Philadelphia's Derek Smith and Neil Sheehy on the Flames.
17,191 in attendance here at the Spectrum. A sellout to watch this game between the Flames and the Philadelphia Flyers. 5-1 the score, 17:45 remaining in this third period. But Peter Cecil said it very well, Gene, in the intermission about how you get relaxed when you get that lead. That intensity goes, and believe me, this Calgary Flames team is a very explosive unit. You can't relax too much against them.
We're going to see a lot of that firepower. They have Peplinski out along with Lanny McDonald. If Peplinski does what they put him in there to do, win the circle, but backhands it through his defense into center ice. Tim Kerr tries to go up ice, taken away and set through by Peplinski from McCowan. They roll it down behind the Philadelphia goal line area, taken away by McCrimmon, who's been a tower today. Flips it into the Calgary zone, and it ricochets right out in front of Lemelin. Taken away, center's pass off a skate. In front, Kerr screams off his man. There's a jump shot off the shoulder of McCowan in front. Far side, Zezel tries to keep it in. Does. Look. Cross ice pass. Poland drive right on. Rebound to Poland. And his stick was hooked. And he was bumped first by McCowan and then by the owner of the puck, Kent Nielsen, as he sends it up to McCowan at center ice. The Flames a little sluggish in making it. The Flyers dump in offensive right corner. Baxter in there with Murray Craven. Craven to the near side to Prop. Prop tries to go to the point. It's blocked. Now he gets at an angle. Shot right on. Lemelin steers it to the near side. And quickly up ice, Colin Patterson tries to break out. He overskates, but following it up is Kent Nielsen over the line. 60-footer off a stick. As the Flyers are smothering a lot of the shots as the Flames hit the Philadelphia line. Now Crum does a nice job of forechecking. Flyers trying to come out along the far wing. Cannot. Will try to come around to the near side. Erickson is there, wraps it up and all the way down. The linesman Bob Hodges said that's an icing, agreeing as Ryan Bozak. It goes over the goal line, touched up by McGinnis. 3:38 gone. Scoreless third period from the Spectrum. Flyers 5 and Calgary 1.
Discover the quick response and smooth performance of Exxon Extra, our highest octane unleaded premium gasoline ever. Its extra boost of octane quiets the knocks, silences the pings for extra smooth performance. Exxon Extra, quality you can count on.
At the Spectrum, Flyers leading 5-1. Long way to go, third period. Mike Eaves, number 7, will take the draw against Philadelphia's number 14, Ron Sutter. Flyers win it. Dvorak spins away from 2 forecheckers. Tries to unload near side. Taken off by Rick Tocchet to Lindsey Carson at center ice. At the red line, drives it in around behind Reggie Lemelin. Picked off there by Paul Reinhardt. Up the middle, off the stick of Hokenlube. Loses it at center ice, and the Flyers break it free, and now Carson looks for some support. Up the middle to Sutter. At the flame line, shot blocked into the near corner. Well, we said the change of goaltender often helps the flow of the game, and since Rajon Lemelin came in early in the second period, the Flames have won the rest of the game 1-0. And that's consolation. They're still back by 4 at 5-1. They shoot it in deep. Flyers have McCrimmon, number 10, Dvorak with the puck, number 9. Up front, Rich Sutter, along with Timmy Young and Glenn Cochran playing the wing. Now Dvorak looks, Gets it past Hockenloeb. Nice lead at Cochran at center ice. At the Flame line, offensive left corner dump, trying for Rich Sutter. Flames pick it off, send it quickly to center ice, and once again, here comes Kent Nielsen over the line. Looks, holds, now he gets a good shot over the top of the net. You cannot let him penetrate to the top of the circles. As the Flyers kick it into the Flame zone, Baxter and Cochran look out for this collision, but Baxter peels it away and then skates away, and there was none to be had. Up to McDonald at center ice. Over the Flyer line, right circle, Whistler. Grab, dropped in front by Lindbergh, and then Marsh takes it to the far corner. Skated off by McDonald. Now Crosman comes to the near side. Goes back the other way. Poplinski picks it off for Calgary. Back behind the net to McDonald. Over skating. Kent Nielsen goes in there. Breaks past Crosman's check. Looks, he's got McDonald behind the net. He doesn't have anyone in front. Waiting, now puts it there for Poplinski, but Marsh reaches out, picks it off for Philadelphia. And then he has an outlet and then decided to pivot back into his own zone. Starts up the middle and drives it in off the glass, and it ricochets behind the Calgary net. Cochran is in there, bumps off his man, tries to center it. There is Cochran right out in front. No shot for Rich Sutter. Back to the point. Dvorak in front of that. Hit Cochran. Another shot by Rich Sutter from the slot on the rebound. Centering pass. Back to Dvorak. Looks to the net. Right on. And Lemelin easily kicked that one away as Carey Wilson up along his left wing side. Flyers aggressive now, keeping the puck in. We're nearing the 6-minute mark played, third period. We've had no scoring in this session. 5-1 Philadelphia. McCown at center. Long drive to the left side of Lindbergh. Taken off, overskated by Kerr in front. Carey Wilson is shot. Smothered. Then Tim Young carries it through the goal mouth and carries it out at center ice on the left wing to Poulin. Poulin up the middle. Overskates the puck. Kerr doesn't. Shot. Score! Oh, my. They made a mistake. It bounced at Kerr's foot. Bingo! And for Timmy, number 34.
Comes at 6:15 in this third period. The amazement or the wonderment of this play is that the puck was bouncing around. Kerr just took it with his skate, popped it down to the ice, and then that quick release beats Reggie Livlin. The Flyers go up 6-1, but how he's able to control the pass and then get off that shot in such little time is what made Tim Kerr the big goal scorer that he is. His 34th of the year. Poulin and Young should pick up assists. 6:15 the time.
For Dave Poulin, it's his third 3-assist game in 4. He now has 9 assists in his last 5 games, Bobby, so if anybody's worried about Dave Poulin, he's back. Drop pass, Eves in front, looking for Hokenlube, and the Flyers pick that off. And then Zezel, who lost his stick trying to kick it out, tries to kick it out, and there's the soccer player instinct, and he does get it into the neutral zone. Flames dump it in. Flyers have it behind the net. Crosman to Marsh. Marsh looks to Crosman. All of this behind the net. Eves tries to put pressure on. They get it in near side to Zezel. Zezel rolls it through nicely to Propp at center ice. Pivots in the neutral zone and then taken back by Lube. Hokenlube trying to go into the far circle. Pivot. Puts it in the slot. Oh, Craven took it away. Stolen. Carey Wilson in front. Turnaround shot. Kick save. In the slot off the stick of Mike Eves. Bad clearance. Flames keep it in. Right side. Sheehy in. From the top of the circle. Blocked by Marsh. And the Flyers again fail to get it out. Drive wide this time by Reinhardt. Do the Flyers make it this time? Yes. Craven at center ice. Hooked from behind by Ryan Bozak. And it's chipped out of the rink. And we think we're going to have a penalty there. No, he's just signaling face-off. 12:35 remaining, third period from the Spectrum. Flyers 6, Calgary 1.
A stereo might not help your child get ahead in school. A bicycle can't help your child get into college. A video recorder might not prepare kids for a career. But a Commodore computer can do all of the above, and it can do it for less money. Only Commodore can give you a computer as powerful as the Commodore 64 for a price as low as the Commodore 64.
Brad Marsh really made an excellent stop of a Tim Sheehy blast. That's timing. All it is timing. If you go down too soon, you can get hurt. If you go down too late, the puck's behind you.
Or sometimes, like your other partner, Eddie Van Impe, you take it in the cocoa. Flames are making a lot of nice tinkling sounds by firing shots off the glass, and that was one of them. Philadelphia tips it in deep. They have Socket out there along with Carson and Ron Sutter. Defensively, Dvorak and Philadelphia's Brad McCrimmon. Flyers into the left wing corner.
Flames take it out, outlet it past Dvorak at center, but Philadelphia covers it there. Hockett back to his own line, and McCrimmon retreating away from Lanny McDonald. McDonald on ice with Kent Nielsen. Now there is Hockett bumping, or make that Carson bumping into Ron Sutter. Nonetheless gets it into the Calgary zone. And quickly out comes Lanny McDonald at the flyer line into the left wing corner. Drops to Peplinski, throws it wildly to the near side. No one there except Philadelphia's Cochran. His pass hits the retreating Lanny McDonald in the skate. Ricochets back into the flyer zone. Philadelphia still in possession, but now they lose it. That's a technical mistake. They get it in front. Look out for Danny Quinn on a stuffer. And the Flyers close off. Nice block by McCrimmon to Tim Young, and then it's sent to center ice. Flames throw it in, but it hits Bob Hodge, where he's going to sit down for dinner tonight. And Flyers penetrate. Rich Sutter into the right wing corner, has a man in front. That was Cochran, but the pass deflected into the end seats off the stick of defenseman Jay McCowan. I think now Mike Keenan, with this 5-goal lead, will probably play Tim Young, Kerr, Rich Sutter a little bit more than he has in this first part of the game. Ronnie Sutter still trying to come off a hip pointer that he suffered against Chicago. It's interesting, one of the highest scoring clubs in the league the last few years, and in Philadelphia, the Calgary franchise. This is the 7th game here. They're 0-7, and they've been outscored 37-10. So this club has managed the Calgary since they've moved from Atlanta. Just 10 goals in 7 games in this building. Håkan Lube up, coming with Bozak. They crisscross into the zone. Lube is bumped off easily, and then Derek Smith sweeps to the right. Eve cuts him off nicely at center, but Smith picks it up into the line, dumps it in along the left side to Poulin. In front, shot by Pro, and Derek Smith is robbed. What a beautiful two-way setup, though, by Poulin and Derek Smith. 9:08 gone, third period from the Spectrum. Flyers 6 and Calgary 1.
George, you've got MCI long distance. Think it's right for my business?
MCI? Wall Street's top banks and brokers use it. 5 of the big 6 automakers, 9 of the top 10 oil companies, plus hundreds of thousands of other businesses save hundreds of millions of dollars with MCI.
But I'm a small plane.
Planes? 6 top airlines use MCI for interstate calls anytime, coast to coast.
Call MCI. We sound better to business.
Flyers have it at the point. Dvorak threw a screen, deflected near corner, picked up by Kerry Wilson of the Flames. Back passes behind the net. Philadelphia with Dave Brown out there. Number 21, Rory Craven, 32, and Brian Propp with 3 goals, 2 of them shorthanded. And the Flames get it up to Baxter. He stopped at the Flyer line. Craven tries to clear out along the near side and does. Rolls into the Calgary zone along the near side. So with Washington idle today, the Flyers appear to be on their way to a clear-cut point lead in the Patrick division, although they already hold a percentage lead over the challenging Washington Caps. And the Flyers will again move 2 points ahead of Washington and 8 ahead of the Island. The one thing that has really impressed me this afternoon, Gene, with this Flyer Hockey Club, they had a real hard-fought game, a real grinding-type game last night at the Island against the New York Islanders. And it wears on you physically, and of course, when you have that lead and then lose it in the last 4 minutes of play, that takes you down mentally. But they really rebounded very well here this afternoon, and then you have to take your hat off to Mike Keenan, Ted Sater, and E.J. McGuire for that. Steele, Flyers working in, but Reinhardt erases that, but poking it away from Rick Tocchet, and the Flames dump it to center, and the Flyers turn right back in. Carson rolls it offensive left corner for Ron Sutter. Round behind the net away from Sheehy, falls. Sheehy digs it out, comes up on the left wing side, and dumps through quickly to Beers at center ice. He's got Hunter on his right, over the line, Hunter in the slot, shot, and that was hit wide. Flyers doing a great job of smothering a lot of the plays by the Flames. Centering, and it rolls off the stick of Reinhardt breaking in from the left point. Dumped behind, look out for the stuffer. Blocked off by McCrimmon, and Lindbergh helps out by poking it loose to the near side. McCrimmon is tied up by Danny Quinn, who has the one Calgary goal. Comes to the near side. Sheehy tries to come out. It's pumped under the body, and a hand pass by the player laying on the ice along the near boards. Ed Beers, and we have a face-off at center ice. So Brad McCrimmon with that 2 assists today, now has 7 goals, 24 assists, 31 points. That's a single-season career high for him, coming from Boston at the end of the 82 season for Pete Peters. Well, his career high for goals is 11, so he's far off that pace. And he had a career high of 24 assists, which he set last year. So before coming to the Philadelphia Flyers, he had a A career high of 5 goals in 3 years. So he's well above that. He's getting much more offensive production out of his play.
Puck in the Calgary zone, bounces and Lemonly covered. Bob, we were looking back to Brad McCrimmon's first name is Byron. And in one of the years, his last 2 years with the Brandon Wheat Kings, he had 97 and 98 points respectively, but never had more than 24 in any single season in the NHL till right now. Mike Cochran in the box for a penalty. We'll have a Flame power play coming up with the score Flyers 6 and the Flames 1.
So you're really going to save for that vacation this year. Start now during savings days at True Value hardware stores. Feel the warmth from this True Value fan-forced electric heater, just $29.95. And heat up metal with this Master Mechanic propane torch kit, only $7.99. Beat the weather with Wells Lamont split leather gloves, just $4.44. Then reach high with a Keller aluminum folding stool, just $9.99 in the Savings Days circular from participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
Well, you tell some players will get penalties just by appearing on the ice. This time, Glenn Cochran will pick up an elbowing call. And it comes at 10:45, Calgary on their 6th power play.
I know they're very worried right now about this having the advantage. They've been blitzed 3 shorthanded goals. They've had 14 of those. Now we got another set to right at the Flyer player bench.
Hunter took after Prop.
Now we got a brawl. And first off the bench was Randy McDonald, and if that's caught, that could be a 3-game suspension.
Now Brow's going around trying to get somebody, but what happened is Hunter went right after Prop, and then Lindsey Carson grabbed Hunter from the bench, from the Flyers bench.
I'm only going to try to objectively say that there's a league rule whenever you have an altercation, the first player on either side, just one, who leads a charge off the bench gets suspended in a double minor in a game misconduct. And we read that to be Lanny McDonald, and that has to be somebody, Bobby. And if the officials, as Rich Sutter looks on, talking to Steve Bozak, officials are not sure. They'll often check up with the official scorers who'll try to help them with that stat.
Hunter went after Prop. That's what started it all. And then Carson grabbed Hunter from the bench.
Mike Keenan standing on the bench. And Hunter, with a large proboscis and a big scar, is growling, and that sets it off again. He's knocked down by Red Sutter. Paul Baxter in there. Now Hunter going to try to get up. And on the near side, Tocchet has a hold of Neil Sheehy. They're all paired off. We haven't seen one of these in a while, my good friend. And Hunter still wants part of somebody. Looks Dave Brown. And Fournier saying, get out of here. And I think right now he's been dumped by Steve Bozak. And Mr. Hunter will have none of it. But we've not had a first man off the bench in some time, and it could be Lanny McDonald.
Well, he came off the bench, but it started when Lindsey Carson grabbed the Calgary Flame player from the Flyers bench. And that prompted Lanny McDonald to come off the bench. I'm sure that's what Calgary Flames are trying to get across to referee Ron Fournier.
Editorial, Bob. You recall how now, after this is all over, the 3 officials are going to get together and try to remember who did what to whom. You know, I've tried for the last 2 years that each referee should carry a small dictograph in his pocket. And as soon as this happens, he can start talking into that dictograph what penalties to whom while keeping his eye on the play. We will now see, after this all cools down, Fournier, along with the linesmen Bob Hodges and Ryan Bozak, will try to go over to the penalty box and reconstruct what they remember. And it would be so much easier if they could reconstruct off a tape recorder. All right, if you've just joined us, 6-1 Philadelphia midway through the 3rd period, and we've just had an explosion of temperature as all the players from both benches, save the 2 goaltenders who remained in their creases, busting out for a brawl in front of the Philadelphia bench. It seems to have cooled off now as they're starting to separate. The 2 off-ice goaltenders, Darren Jensen along with Don Edwards, who was knocked out, looking on, and one young lady here decked out in casual purple for the afternoon looks pleased, and Mike Keenan there trying to defect his players. Okay, while we seem to settle down and Ron Fournier decides who gets what, we'll tell you from the Spectrum in Philadelphia, 9:03 remain in the 3rd period with the score of Philadelphia 6 and Calgary 1.
For everyone who thought the Honda was no bigger than a bread box, this announcement, this beautiful Honda Accord, is wider than the BMW 325e. The Honda Prelude is wider and longer than the Porsche 911. Even the Honda Civic wagon has over 3 inches more headroom than the Peugeot wagon. So when you visit your Tri-Honda dealer, tell him you're looking for something a little larger. He's got a wide selection. Your Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Tri-State Honda dealers.
We're back here at the Spectrum. 9:03 remaining in the third period. The Flyers are out in front of Calgary 6-1, and they're still milling around in front of the Flyers players bench. Everything seems to be cooled down, but nobody's making any moves to the penalty bench, and the referee hasn't gone over there yet to announce the penalties either.
Bob, this is a great situation. You told me about the stories of Eddie Shore, who was the most tight-fisted and careful with his money general manager coach. You told me you used to do a wonderful thing when we had these fights and sticks and gloves were thrown all over the ice. You used to say, told you to go over and steal the other
guy's stick so that it'd save the money. He'd make sure. But that's when they started putting names or numbers on the stick and also gloves.
Gentleman on the far side with a mustard-colored coat has been the longtime voice of the Spectrum, Lou Nola. And once Ron Fortier and Hodges and Ryan Bozek decide what happens, they'll pass it along to Lou Nolan, and we'll let you hear him give the penalties. Bob,
26 has a match.
Penalty, 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Okay.
5-minute match for prop. All right.
There is no more than that.
Glenn Cochran, the most disciplined of all, stayed here the whole time. Great.
Okay. Lindsay.
Carson.
He's got what is that? Third man in.
Third man in for Carson.
Okay.
Third man in.
Now, the two guys.
Hunter is 19, right?
Yeah, Hunter's got the two. He went after front. Yeah, he went after front.
Yeah.
He's got a minor for roughing.
Minor for roughing, yeah. Right.
Okay. We'll drop down, but he got him though. Okay, minor for roughing. Okay.
We're putting it together little by little here.
Have you got a guy at first man out there? I just want to double check.
Wouldn't it be so much easier with a tape recorder? Why don't we use modern facilities?
So you got McDonald?
You know what this sounds like? 4 people trying to decide who owes what in a luncheon check.
Double minor and game misconduct for Lanny McDonald. Okay.
Yeah, there's McDonald gets the...
Yeah, he's first off the bench.
He's going to get 3-game suspension off that.
Yeah, Carson.
It's interesting to listen to the linesman and the referee when they discuss it.
Yeah.
But what I don't understand is how the referees are allowing the players to get inside that circle. Both Poulin and Kent Nielsen.
I believe they were invited in, Bobby.
Oh, okay.
We might point out a match penalty in hockey. There are 2 types. A 5-minute match, that's for intent to injure. It calls for a game misconduct, a game penalty, and also review by the league. A 10-minute match penalty is where you intend and do injure someone, and that calls also for a review by the league. So prop going after Hunter picks up a match penalty of 5 minutes duration. We've already heard Lindsey Carson getting a game misconduct for being the 3rd man in, and Hunter getting 2 for roughing for going after prop, and Lanny McDonald getting a double minor and a game misconduct for being first off the bench in a fight or imbroglio, and that is an automatic 3-game suspension for Mr. McDonald. But see, I think the reason I like the tape recorders, there's so much delay here, whereas all the official has to do in viewing all of this, instead of trying to remember it, is to play the tape back. You can say first off the bench, number 9, White. Number 6, Philadelphia, game misconduct. But now they're trying to iron this out the best they can. And with modern technology, it seems to be a pretty primitive way of deciding all of this. Flames at their bench. McDonald has not been told yet that he's kaput. But I would think that he's kind of got to figure it. 5 and 2. Bobby, don't you agree? It seems like an awfully primitive and amateurish way to decide all of this.
It certainly is, Gene, but, you know, they won't even carry beepers for commercials, let alone carry a tape recorder.
Yeah, but beepers are a courtesy. All right, here we go.
Number 19, Tim Hunter, 2 minutes for roughing plus a 10-minute misconduct. Calgary penalty to number 9, Lanny McDonald, a double minor, and a game misconduct. Flyers penalty number 26, Brian Propp, 5-minute match penalty. Flyers penalty number 18, Lindsey Carson, 2 minutes for roughing plus a 10-minute misconduct. The penalties come at 10 minutes, 57 seconds. I'll review them for you. Tim Hunter, Calgary, receives a 2-minute minor for roughing plus a 10-minute misconduct. Lanny McDonald, a double minor, and a game misconduct. For the Flyers, Brian Propp receives a 5-minute match penalty. And number 18, Lindsey Carson, a minor for roughing plus a 10-minute misconduct. The time, once again, 10 minutes, 57 seconds.
You know, the fact that he clarified just a misconduct rather than a game misconduct, Bobby, indicates that Lindsey did not receive third man in, which would have been a game misconduct.
He must have changed his mind on it. He'll pick up a 2 roughing plus 10 misconduct. What it works out to, I believe, Gene, is that the Calgary Flames, with Lanny McDonald's double minor and a game misconduct, and then with Propp's 5-minute match penalty, that the Calgary Flames will end up with a 1-minute power play. Seems that way, although if my calculations are correct.
Well, we're writing it down here. They're showing up on the board. You see, the only major penalty goes to Propp, so there are no matching penalties. So everything that's called has to be put up on the board. And what it shows, the Flyers still with a Cochran penalty to have 1:48 remaining, have Lindsey Carson's 2-minute minor on the board, and the major to Propp. One of those, and probably the major, has to be delayed because you can only have 2 men serving penalty at the same time with clock evolving. And the 2 minors to Calgary, the minor to Hunter for roughing and the double minor to McDonald, are on the board. So what they'll do is they'll play 3 aside for 1:48. Cochran won't be able to come out because that's when Propp's penalty starts. Then when Hunter comes out, the Flames will be on a 4 skaters to 3 attack for 2 more minutes. And then when the second minor to McDonald is over, the Flames will have an additional power play in the time remaining on Propp's penalty. So it appears that for 1:48, they'll play 3 skaters apiece, and then the Flames will have a duration of 2.5 to 3 minutes of an advantage of some type.
You know what's amazing about this whole thing, too, is that you always have to re-explain it to players and coaches as well and how it works. You think after all the years you kind of figure it out, but it doesn't seem to work that way.
All of this coming at 10:57 with the game in hand, Philadelphia. Propp now, Hunter has 163 minutes on the year. McDonald with 26, but he's going to take the worst of the brunt of this because he'll get a 3-game suspension automatic for being off the bench.
He has to, Ron Fournier's gone over to Bob Johnson, the coach of the Flames, and beside him standing up is Bob Murdoch, the assistant coach. And he is saying that he has to get 2 players in the penalty box to serve those minors to Tim Hunter of the Flames and also to Lanny McDonald of the Flames. Now, McDonald's out of the game. Hunter got 2 and 10, so he's finished for the evening. So you have to have 2 players in there to finish out the penalties. And it appears now that Neil Sheehy will be one of the players and Richard Crom the other player.
The major penalty assessed to
Glenn Cochran, who'd already been in there. Rick Tocchet now serving the penalty along with Richie Sutter.
number 18.
Might point out technically that if the Flames were to come back, Bobby, and score 5 goals, and we did go in overtime, Lindsey Carson would return. He has 12 minutes in penalties, and with overtime, you'd have a possible 14 minutes and 3 seconds of play. But Propp is gone for sure. McDonald is gone for sure. But both Hunter of the Flames and Philadelphia's Lindsey Carson could return.
And the double minor assessed to Lanny McDonald.
Tocchet is serving the minor to Lindsey Carson, and Richie Sutter is serving the major penalty to Brian Propp.
Right, here's a situation because of so much ice to be covered by 3 skaters each side, where someone of the ilk of Håkan Loob and particularly Kent Nielsen, who's out there, can excel. Very, very tough to defend this much ice. Poulin, a zigzag at center ice to the near side, runs it off to Dvorak, turns, and he's got an open man in front. Now passes there, and finally the Flyers lose it. This is almost like half-court schoolyard basketball, 3 aside. Very, very tough to defend. as Eves comes back, works the right side, into the zone goes Reinhardt, drops back to Kit Nielsen. Nielsen wants to jab. He goes around behind the net, past Poulin. They try to get it out. Nice block off by McCrimmon. Now the Flyers have their shot at it again. Philadelphia has 1 minute remaining on the penalty to Cochran, but he cannot come out because the Flyers have a delay penalty over. As Poulin goes in, shot is blocked off by Reinhardt. He goes behind the net, pivots beautifully away from two men. Has Marsh out there now with Erickson. Still working, and then drives it back into his own zone. Flames have penalties on the board. 50 seconds on that minor to Hunter, and 250 on that major to, or double minor to Lanny McDonald. Flyers have 30 seconds left on the Cochran penalty, 40. Not to Lindsey Carson. Shot from center ice way wide. And, of course, the penalty, the match to Brian Propp has not started because you can only have 2 penalties run off at a time against the team. Harry Eloranta, the Finn over the line, comes with Al McGinnis and Håkan Loob out there. They work far side. There's a drive, hit the outside of the net. Lindbergh wasn't quite sure where it rebounded. Taken off and sent through to Murray Craven, along with Brad Marsh. And the Flyers are playing this cozy. Now the Flames...
Cochran's penalty's over now, Jim.
Yeah, and now they've got the Flyer penalty to Propp starting. Flames will get a man out in 3 seconds. Now the Flyers will get a man out right now. So they're playing 5 skaters aside for 1:58. Then when McDonald's penalty is over, the Flames will have a 3-minute power play or thereabouts. Now they're 4 aside. Still no power play advantage. 6:50 remaining third period. This would be a much more dire situation if the score were closer. Nice move by Nielsen over the line. Works to the near side, into the corner. Remember, we're not on the power play. Nielsen has it, goes to the point. Now McCowan overskates, 2-on-1. Young, along with Ron Sutter, one man back Eloranta. Young there to Ron Sutter, but reaching back nicely was the Flames' McCowan to break it up. Back comes Nielsen. He's going to try to challenge Dvorak over the line. Tries to roll it through. Flyers pick it off. McCrimmon on the near side. Just been a tower. It's been like old Rocket Gibraltar out there today. Kerr has 1 goal. He'll lead the charge. Swings wide to his right. Around behind the net to the near side. Looks for some support. Still has it straight away. Now Dvorak dumps it right side. In front they tried to get it. McCrimmon did. It goes back to Brad. Near circle pass to Howe. Kerr, and he short-sided it one time. Hit the outside of the post on the short side. Flyers keep it in, but now the Flames come out at center. Still skating 5 aside, but over the line. Nice move by Quinn, who has the 1 goal. Works to the side of the Flyer net. Lindbergh pokes it away. Goes to McCrimmon, and now the Flyers again with a 2-on-1. Dvorak, and going wide is Zezel. He's got Dvorak open. Zezel in. Shot. Score!
14:25, the time of that goal by Peter Zezel as he picked the short side. Reggie Lindman very upset with himself as he played Zezel the pass. The 2-on-1, the defenseman played it perfectly, staying in the middle. Eloranta, you have to give that shooter to the goaltender, especially when you get into that circle. Now Lindman, as you see, has an awful lot of room on that short side. And Peter Zezel's quick wrist shot finds its way behind him. And Zezel picks up goal number 6. Tim Kerr the assist. 14:25 the time.
Long drought.
McCrimmon picks up another assist. That's today, too.
And Kerr with an assist and a goal and 2 assists. Now here they come right back, Zezel again. Over the line, looks. Behind the net, bangs off the side of the cage as Craven was rubbed down, and we get a stoppage. For Peter Zezel, Bobby, his first goal since December 8th here against the Rangers. 5:19 remaining, third period. Flyers 7 and Calgary 1.
There's nothing like a lazy Saturday afternoon or a big Sunday dinner with the family. That's what makes weekends worth coming home for. And weekends are special for 2 more reasons. Rob Jennings and Gary Papa on Action News. Together, they bring you the latest news and tell you all about your favorite team. So when you want to know what's happening on the weekend, just come on home to Action News.
Keep on coming home to Action News.
A lot of youngsters in attendance this afternoon. And of course, you'll find that often when the Flyers play in the afternoon. The young people get a chance to come out and see their heroes. And we've got a 17,191 strong here this afternoon as the Flyers are rolling right at this point, 7-1 with 5:19 left in this third period. And they've had everything. Power play goals, shorthanded goals, fights. Almost, well, it was you could say a bench clearing brawl, but I don't think you can pack any more excitement into a hockey game.
Biggest thrill for Mike Keenan today has to be the way this club has rebounded from that loss yesterday. And then you lose Mark Howe, and that's got to be a little downer. And no Hospodar, no Froze. Just a lot of moxie on this team. Puck comes to center ice. Now out of the penalty box comes the Flame Sheehy, and the Flames are on a 2-minute and 42-second power play as a result of that match penalty called against Brian Propp.
It's also a major, so if they do score, that penalty still goes. It has to run its course.
And they got a man in front, but Loeb can't get him the pass. Back to the point. Elaronto off the McFinnis. There's that shot, but it's short-circuited by Tim Young, who drips it to center ice.
That shot also short-circuited Tim Young because he took it right on the toe and he limped off.
There's a tip at center ice by Philadelphia. 2:10 left. Flames are 0 for 6 today, Bobby, and they're 0 for 7 in 2 games against Philadelphia. Flyers dump in, and now they change Ron Sutter out. Marsh and Erickson, and the other penalty killer for Philadelphia, Murray Craven. Here comes McGinnis up ice on there with Håkan Loob, Kent Nielsen, Eddie Beers, and on the far side, Reinhardt. 4 minutes left in the third period. 1:45 on the major to Propp. There goes Beers for the net. Loob back to the point. Looking for an opening is Kent Nielsen. He's there. Rink-wide pass. That hit Loob. And that's the place they like to go cross ice to the open shot from McDonald. He's not there. There's a stuffer in front. Save. Another one by Lindbergh. Back to Nielsen. Tried a shot through a screen, and Lindbergh was equal to all. It goes to the point. Nice save by Reinhardt to McGinnis. Played at the goal line. Beers is there in front. Shot hit the post on the long side. As twice now, they've let Beers come out from the rear left of Lindbergh. Nielsen back to the point. McGinnis unloads. Doesn't get it all. And Ron Fournier jumps as the puck loose. Beers coming out again. Left side at the top of the left circle. There's Nielsen. Drive, and Lindbergh says, no thank you, Kent, and ices it to the Flyers. 55 seconds remaining on the major. 7-1 Philadelphia. Out come the Flames. Danny Quinn, who has their one goal, tries to penetrate past Dvorak. Dvorak takes it away and gets it up to Tim Young at center ice. Young had trouble finding his stick. Got it caught underneath as he maneuvers in. Works down that right side against Baxter. Holds off his man, and then finally, I tell you, nice job of signing him in the offseason. He's been a valuable cog in the Flyer wheel there. Now they bust in, drop pass, and McCrimmon just breaks it up. Flames try to keep it in. They work to the left side, turnaround shot by Colin Patterson, and Lindbergh is equal to that. Flyers fail to clear. The Flames have had more decent shots in his last 3 minutes than they've had for the game. There's a knockdown at center ice, and that brings McCrimmon all by himself into the zone. Pivots, rolls it around behind the net, and out of the penalty box will come Rich Sutter, and the Flyers kill all that penalty and marry a goal. So the Flames go 0 for 7 on the advantage, and that's #1 in the league. Flyers work, and Zezel tries to roll it up the slot. That goal for Peter moments ago was his first in 16 games, or since the Flyers met the New York Rangers here on December the 8th. And that'll be a little boost for the youngster. Glenn Cochran to Erickson, off a stick to center ice, laying right at the Flyer goal line there, right wing. Stolen away by Kerr. He's got inside his man. Tries a backhander in Lemelin, who covers that. Puck along the near side. Dug out by Philadelphia Zezel to Marsh at the point. Bounces off a stick into the neutral zone. So now, after all of that drama is over, as little as there was of that threatening play by the Flames, trailing by 6, we're just closing out now for the final numbers with the minute 24 remaining. And we're happy you're with us again on Channel 6. And don't forget, we'll be back with you. Flyers hockey on Saturday afternoon, February the 2nd from here against the red-hot Buffalo Sabres, who have lost just 1 of 14 and are challenging for the lead in the Adams Division, 2 points back of Montreal. Tom Barrasso and the great Gilbert Perreault, some of those great youngsters like Dave Andrechuk and Phil Housley. Last minute of play in the third period. Flyers wheel it back to Dvorak. Well, there's a steal. Centering play, broken up. Colin Patterson with a shot. That's deflected behind. In front. They whack at it, and it's in front. Lindbergh trying to whack it down. Clears to the near side. Pokes, but not out. Although the game is no longer in question, they don't want to give up another goal. And there, as Eves was in the slot, took a shot, broke his stick in half. Now up ice, the Flyers try to roll in. The socket behind the line. Comes to the near side. Picked up by Ron Sutter. Sutter into the slot. Easily read. Taken off the other way by Quinn. Quinn just mugged by Derek Smith. And then Derek Smith is high stick by Richie Crom, and I think he should go off as well. So Crom will go to the box along with Philadelphia's Derek Smith. It all comes at 1938. My friends, they'll meet here again once more before this season's over, and it'll be on February 24th. Calling signals will be laid.
Calgary penalty number 22, Richard Crom, elbowing.
Gets 2 for elbowing.
Penalty number 24.
As Derek Smith knocked down one man, and then Crom came up and gave him a shot. Holding and roughing, and with 22 seconds left, elbowing to Crom. Holding for Derek Smith. Both have been sent to the dressing room because nobody's going to score 6 goals in 22 seconds. So the Flames pick up their 15th penalty of 30 called, and the Flyers pick up their 15th. And it's the testiest game that the Flyers have had in a long while. You would not suspect that the Calgary Flames would have been the opposition in such a set, too. Puck dropped at center ice as they skate 4 skaters aside plus goalers. For Derek Smith, 21 minutes on the year. And for Richie Crom on the season, he adds to his total with 20 all told. 15-15 the penalties. Flames into the Flyer zone. Flyers take it off. 4-3, and there's Petlinski at the side of the net, and we come to the end of the game. Final score and a dandy for Philadelphia on this Sunday afternoon. The Philadelphia Flyers 7, and the Calgary Flames 1. And now for the final wrap, let's go down to Channel 6 Sports Director Don Tollefson.
All right, thank you very much, Gene Hart. The Flyers take a 5